weird. Yes, you did. You made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? I am in Canada, and I'm freezing. It's very, very cold here, but also the heat in my apartment is not working. So I'm recording this fully clothed and in bed with all the blankets on me. Little update. It's also why I had to reschedule my Chicago dates, which was a bummer. Those shows sold out, which meant so much to me. Thank you to everybody that got tickets. We're looking to announce the date later today. So we'll have the new date today, but I do apologize that I had to move the schedule here on the movie shifted around and there was nothing I could do. And I'm also very cold, if that makes you feel any sympathy for me. I also have other dates coming up. Not too many, but I'll be in Tempe, Arizona for New Year's. If you're in Arizona, come hang out with me on December 30th and 31st. And then January 5th and 6th, I'll be in Brea, California at the Brea Improv. This episode, boy, I just started blabbing about myself. What episode is this? This is Glenn Howerton. Always Sunny. Blackberry, which we talk a lot about. If you haven't seen the movie Blackberry, I gush about it in this episode, and that is all completely legit. I've seen it 2 or 3 times now. I'm blown away by him, by Jay Baruchel. The performances in the movie are incredible. The director is incredible. We talk a lot about him as well. But check that movie out. It's awesome. Really, really, really love that movie. And obviously love Sonny and love everything that he does. So this is one of those Did We Just Become Best Friends episodes. I love it. I'm so glad you're here. Just a couple things to plug up top. My Netflix special, I Am Not For Everyone, is on right now. My YouTube channel is going to be shifting. So if you want to keep watching this podcast on YouTube and seeing that I cut my hair for a movie, for example, it's going to be You Made It Weird on YouTube. We're slowly shifting that over. I think this one will still be on Pete Holmes, but in the new year, we're going to shift over. So You Made It Weird will be its own channel. So be sure to subscribe to that. We're going to start uploading some old episodes to that so you can find it. And please subscribe to that. And if you like the show, why not try, you know this by now, why not try a Pete's Pick? This show is brought to us by one of our oldest Pete's Picks, which is Alpha Brain from our friends at ONNIT. Obviously, I'm doing this movie right now. Alpha Brain, Alpha Brain, Alpha Brain. I have it in my pockets. I tell cast members about it because I need to learn lines. I need to stay sharp. I need to stay focused. I need to be able to concentrate. I also need to be able to just, as I can't talk to people. Talk, relate, connect, access my vocabulary, access my verbal centers. Alpha Brain is like fish food for your ideas, for your cognition, for your brain function. It is not a stimulant. It's not like caffeine. It doesn't get you all jacked up. It just gives you earth-grown ingredients that you need to function at your optimum. It's brain stuff. It's a nootropic. It's like a brain. It's like a brain. It helps with memory, focus, concentration. I wish I knew about it in college. I'm so glad I know about it now. Absolute game changer. I haven't done a podcast, a stand-up show, acted in anything, or just gone out to dinner without taking a couple Alpha Brain 15, 20 minutes prior, and you absolutely notice the difference. Go to onnit.com/weird for 10% off and support the show, support your brain. ONNIT, ONNIT.com/weird. We're also brought to us by our friends at BLUELAND. Did you know we're eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic a week? That's correct. The products we're using every day are ultimately contaminating our water supply, generating hundreds of microplastics that we end up ingesting. Luckily, our friends at BLUELAND set out to do something about it to eliminate the need for single-use plastics in the products we use the most, like hand soap. Did you know that an estimated 5 billion plastic hand soap and cleaning bottles are thrown away each year? If that's not bad enough, most cleaning formulas are 90% water, which is heavy to ship, leading to excessive carbon emissions, not to mention the nasty ingredients in them like chlorine and ammonia. But BLUELAND is reinventing cleaning essentials for a better you and a better planet by offering endlessly refillable cleaning products with a beautiful, cohesive design that looks great on your counter. I can attest to that. We have their hand soaps in all of our bathrooms. It looks great, and you put the tab in, and you add the water, and it fizzes up and turns into a foaming hand soap. Looks great, works great, and you're doing something good for your body, for the planet. It's awesome. Help just fill the bottles with water, as I mentioned, drop in the tablets, and the hand soap, toilet bowl cleaner, laundry tablets, all with clean ingredients you can feel good about. And you subscribe so you don't run out. I'm always running out and forgetting before I had BLUELAND. So I recommend their Clean Essentials Kit, which has everything you need to get started. It comes in beautiful light scents like iris agave, fresh lemon, and eucalyptus mint. BLUELAND has an offer just for weirdos. Get 15% off your first purchase of any product and get cleaning products that I love the look of and love that they're good for you and the planet. For 15% off your first order, go to blueland.com/YMIW. You won't want to miss this. Blueland.com/YMIW. That's blueland.com/YMIW. All right, everybody, enjoy. Glenn Howerton. I'll be here. Very cold. Get into it.
You know what I would love is water.
You got it, dude.
If you got that.
I thought thirst was a sign of weakness. Oh, shit!
Your boy's dehydrated.
We only have Bury It Alive by Liquid Death.
What is
it's
that?
Sparkling, and it has a light. It's like LaCroix.
Great.
Is that okay?
Yeah. If you don't mind me burping throughout the podcast.
You know, I was just in San Francisco.
It's flavored.
Yeah, I said like
Christ
LaCroix.
almighty.
You don't like?
I mean, what?
I'm with you. I'm actually with you. Liquid Death was a sponsor. They're not a sponsor anymore. So like I can speak freely and say I don't like their flavors. You know what else I don't like is that like I do fasting and this has 20 calories in it.
Yeah, that's no good. You can't
What the
fast
fuck
on
are you
that.
doing?
Yeah, no, you
like
can't.
why are you ruining? We know you can do it with no calories.
That's right.
So why are you making this a 20-calorie nightmare?
Well, maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to put like the fake flavorings in it or the fake like sweeteners in it.
I hear you, but Spindrift also not a sponsor.
Totally.
Like
Love that.
1 ounces of raspberry
Have that.
juice is exact. Why did we bring science into it?
I don't need. We shouldn't.
You know what
have.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's recreate raspberries. You know what's an easy way to recreate a raspberry? Grow a raspberry.
That's right. Yeah.
And squish it.
I was so when Spindrift came out, I was so happy about it because that's exactly what I would want.
Me too.
In a flavored carbonated beverage, and
It's weird that I have very strong feelings about this as well.
I have very strong
I
feelings
just
about
want you to
this.
know you're in a safe
yeah.
space.
Okay, good.
Like, I
good,
feel
good.
really.
Well, then why do you even have this?
Because they gave it to us for free.
Oh, because you had
and
a bunch
I feel
of it.
embarrassed. We're running low, and we're going into the non-sponsor. If you want to
Okay.
support the show, don't buy Liquid Death. Buy some Modern Mammals, some Magic Minders, some First Person. Don't buy Liquid
Now,
Death.
does this stuff work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does.
I love it.
It makes your brain on fire. It
Yeah,
like
shake
turns
it up and take it. We'll have a better chat.
Well, now wait a minute.
You
I don't
want me
know.
for shake it?
I've already had some nootropics.
Oh, you did.
This
What-
might be
what kind?
nootropics on top of nootropics.
Because I take nootropics on top of nootropics. I take Alpha Brain and I take Magic Mind.
Oh, you do.
And
Okay,
I think
so
they're
I've
different kinds.
tried. I've
You're
tried
so
them all.
polite. You keep letting me interrupt you. It's really.
I don't care.
I love.
It's
good
your
listener.
show.
No, I know, but you're the guest. But I'm noticing already heightened empathy. I'm just complimenting. It's like
Interesting.
I feel an authority, and I feel like you're present, and you're here, and you're powerful. But I also see like what do you nootropic? Like it's very cool already.
I would much prefer to listen to you talk than talk myself. I mean, I am definitely of that. Like, I hate talking. I don't want to talk about myself. I want to hear more about you.
You're only going to get in, not trouble, but like you're only going to find yourself in a story with no ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Like looking for the bathroom in a restaurant.
Also, like, I know about me. I don't know about you. So
I
you
like
want to know
that.
about me, and I want to know about you.
Yeah, I like that. This is going to sound kind of whatever, however it sounds. I want to know about us. This is a recording of us.
Okay.
So don't feel, we don't have to
Yeah.
plumb the depths, but this will be us. Here we are.
Great.
In outer space. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We're floating in outer space.
Now, if I don't
You
hold
can
this
hold it like
up
an
to
ice
me-
cream cone.
Okay, so I don't have to like do this the
Our
whole time.
last guest
'cause
was doing this.
and that was fine.
I didn't love it.
Yeah, okay.
But you can do it.
But I can rest it here.
Yeah, you can
if
rest
I-
it there.
if I like. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Just making sure.
But we're temporary beings in the cosmos
Mm-hmm.
on this rock, but we're here together.
Mm-hmm.
It's already, I'm going to say it, it's already art. It just is. It is as if we decide it is. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a pineapple. If you give enough meaning to a pineapple, it becomes art. And this is just a little slice of 2023.
Yeah.
Although I do want to say, I spent 5 minutes yesterday trying to remember what year it was. I was going.
I had that issue the other day too.
Really?
I was convinced that it was 2024.
I was too. And I was going, because I remembered seeing a meme that about the Ramones, 2020, 24 hours to go. That's when it was 2020 on New Year's Eve. It was 2020, 24 hours to go.
That's what the song's about?
No, it's just a funny coincidence.
I was
that,
going to say,
you could, yeah, they were prophets.
Well, I was going to say, well,
You know,
also
with that hair, they should be prophets.
Yeah, sure. I mean, with 2020 back then, when they made that song,
Yeah.
it was like we were definitely going to have flying cars.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we would definitely be on Mars already.
Blade Runner already happened.
Right.
The year that they said Blade Runner is in the past.
Wait, what year does Blade Runner take place?
Can you give that a Jamie? Would
I
you
want to
pull
know.
that up?
I don't
That's
remember
a Joe
this.
Rogan reference. Katie, would you please look that up?
It's important to have somebody here to back up whatever we say.
No,
because
Katie is essential. 2019 was the year Blade Runner took place.
Oh my goodness!
But we're not that far off, you know. It goes both ways.
well, if you go to Tokyo,
Yep.
where
you were
would
born?
certainly feel as though, yeah, weirdly,
Isn't that weird?
yeah, that is weird.
But if you went to Tokyo, there's a lot happening. I was just in San Francisco yesterday, and there was a car, you know, with this. It's not just a Tesla; it's a personless car.
Yeah.
And I knew it was because it had a thing on it. It's taking pictures 360.
But are they're not actually using them yet to transport people, are they?
No, they are.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. So this is it. So I'm in an Uber because I'm from the olden days.
Yeah.
And I'm driving past this car and I'm like, I know no one's in this car. I just know it. And I looked and it was driving down the street and there was no one in the, which you know what brings back to the table?
What's that?
Loud farting. You're in a car with no driver. That's your own little hot box driving down the road.
Yeah. Wow, you could leave behind all kinds of farts in that thing.
But they're definitely filming you. I gave this a lot of thought, so you got to do a spread and release.
Okay.
Like a
Meaning you gotta pull your butt cheeks apart so it doesn't
Yeah,
make a
yeah,
noise.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a thing.
It is.
That's a thing.
It's a
And by the way,
courtesy.
that's a new thing that I learned. I didn't know that was a thing until very recently. Like,
Really?
That's a 2023 thing
We
that
think.
I learned.
It might be 2024.
It could be
We're not
2024.
sure.
It could be.
But yeah, you just figured it out. But you're a slender guy. You got that McConaughey bod. You got McCon bod. You got a McCon bod.
I'll take that. Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm trying to compliment.
I'm less hair. I've got more hair than him, though. I've got
You're a hairy guy.
Yeah, I got a very hairy
Don't
chest.
people like that? Because it's kind of like you're pixelated. See, you look very fit, but like if I had chest hair, I'd love it because it's like you're always wearing a shirt.
Right. Yeah. You're like a bear. You just, you know,
But
you're
McConn's-
always warm.
Always warm and always, you know, is he soft or is he just kind of massive?
Right.
Like the old-timey barrel-chested guys. But McConaughey, I'm going to say it for the record, not just clickbait. McConaughey's never had a loud fart. Those are maybe
think so?
one. I think maybe one cracks every once in a while, but he's never had like a Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
I don't
That's
know.
going to be a louder, more robust. That's the
Yes.
Philharmonic.
Right.
There's just more mass. This isn't body shaming. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
The instrument is
the instrument. His butt. His butt being the instrument. That is going to produce more sound. Yeah. No, for sure.
If you
There's
are
more folds and
yes,
Yeah.
ripples.
Yeah.
If you're a musician and you play the fart, you're gonna buy the
You're gonna
Brendan
buy
Fraser in The Whale. Nobody's me like you know what McConaughey is in the fart musician world. He's an alto sax.
Yeah. And Brendan Fraser is the tuba. Or the
And you know what I want to get a parade going, or a quinceañera.
yeah, you need a tuba
goddamn
for that.
tuba.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's turning heads when an alto sax starts. That's why the jazz it's a quartet. You need three other guys.
Has there ever been like a tuba solo though? Do people do tuba solos? That's not really a solo
That
instrument,
is
right?
so funny.
You would
because
think-
there are bass solos,
Yeah.
which are so boring. And I'm a bass player. I used to love it. I
You
used
don't
to
like-
love a
Yeah.
bass solo in the jazz group. I'd be like, it's my time.
Yeah.
Everyone hates it.
It is a little bit of a letdown, isn't it?
If everyone has to hush up for your solo, it's not a solo.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. The stairs don't get to be the curtains. You're the stairs. But I've never heard a tuba solo.
Now, what I have heard are some great baritone sax solos. Are you familiar with the band Morphine?
Of course.
Oh, man.
That's the tuba of saxophones.
Yeah.
And they can do like a... Yeah, Morphine's great.
That shit's bad. I love that band.
How could they be called anything but Morphine? They sound like I imagine what Morphine feels like. Kind of like it's chill, you're cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're smoking a cigarette laying down. You know what I mean?
Right, which actually seems like it would be very uncomfortable. I mean, as someone who doesn't smoke anymore.
No. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger.
I know what you mean.
You know?
That memory came from a Christmas at this house, actually, where I took mushrooms, and I really felt like I was, not in a supernatural or literal way, but I felt like I was living in another time. Like I felt like it was 1973.
Oh, really?
I felt like a groovy guy in 1973, and I laid on, it's actually still in there. We had this little Tibetan day bed that came with the house, and they were like, this is 1,000 years old. So I'm laying on this Tibetan day bed. And I realized that we had cigarettes in the house from who knows why. And I got one, and I just laid down and smoked it and felt like the band Morphine. Like I felt like the coolest. It's disgusting. I'm 44 now. I'm like, I have clarity. That's really gross.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It's gross in every way.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it felt awesome.
It's also kind of sexy, too.
Of course it is.
Like, I like the smell of cigarettes. I still do. But I
Buddy.
can't, I don't know, I can't get through a whole cigarette anymore.
Yeah.
I can only take a couple puffs, and then I'm just like, nah, my body just won't do it anymore.
I wish a pipe tasted how a pipe smells. You ever smoke a pipe?
God, it's been a long time.
Doesn't taste like how it smells.
No?
Secondhand pipe is the way to smoke a pipe. You want to be next to a guy smoking a pipe.
Yeah, I like that cherry-flavored tobacco kind of...
What am I, British? It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm saying that as a good thing. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm suddenly British?
Yeah. Why don't we do that anymore? Why doesn't anyone... I mean, I'm sure there are some people, but why?
That smoke pipe?
People, yeah.
It's the tamping ruins it. The badassness of this is ruined by a dainty, like, gotta keep it going.
You would think, though, I mean...
Goes out on a boat.
What part of town is this, like,
This is
considered?
Los Feliz.
Okay, this is Los Feliz. All right. So you would think that in Los Feliz or Silver Lake, there'd be people smoking pipes everywhere.
Oh, yeah, big Gandalf pipes.
Yeah.
The kind you just rest.
It just seems like it'd be a very kind of hipstery kind of thing to bring back.
I think it was.
Really?
I remember growing up in Boston, seeing what were hipsters then, which were just cool dudes with tood in the 80s. Every once in a while, you'd see a guy rocking a pipe.
Really?
Mitch Hedberg smoked a pipe.
Did he?
The comedian, yeah. He'd smoke a pipe.
On stage? Or
no,
just...
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
He could have. You know what else makes a pipe not cool? The sound. It goes...
Oh, it makes
it's
a
like
little...
very like hollow sounding. A cigarette, that cushiony... I'm going to make someone who just quit smoking go nuts. But that feeling of the cotton, and you just go, and they color it, and it's so throwback in the 70s with the fake specks. You know, when they probably first made cigarettes, there was something in the paper that actually was specked, and now they're just like how our cell phones go to sound like a camera.
Oh, you're saying that they may have put something in it to make a certain noise?
I think, no, not a noise, although I wouldn't put it past them. I bet they're all about that mouth feel and the drag. Like Parliament's very firm filter. Do you ever smoke a Parliament?
Yeah.
They used to say it's because George Clinton used to put a bump of cocaine in it, and you certainly could.
That little hollow
it's
bit
deviated.
at the end.
Yeah,
that was so
you could
somebody
do a bump of cocaine in that. Parliament, the cocaine administering cigarette. And you can put cocaine in a cigarette, and then I think it's crack. I think it's just become
pretty much.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I it sounds wonderful.
You're excited to find out.
Well, yeah. Again, I think I'm just past that. Like I'm past
aged.
my drug days. I'm like, the thought of doing drugs now, it just gives me anxiety.
Sure. No, I get it.
You know, even the nootropics that I took this morning, are giving me anxiety.
You're
right
a little
now.
like, what's this going to be?
Yeah,
I get it. Is that why? And that's why you don't want to drink your Magic Mind, because you don't want to be on camera. First of all, it won't disagree with you. In fact, it'll calm you down.
Oh, really?
I don't mean to do an ad for Magic Mind, but it has adaptogens in it, which people are like, adaptogens are nonsense. They're not. And everything I take that has adaptogens in it just kind of cools me out, which I think at our age.
So here's something I struggle with.
Do you do cocaine?
No.
That was you asking me. We all know you do cocaine. You famously do cocaine.
I feel, and maybe this is like, because I recently found out that I have ADHD, which explains a lot.
Don't you kind of love it though?
It can be a superpower. It can be.
I like that you're being honest. Maybe you don't love it. Tell me. It
can, if I can get into a good zone with it.
Because if you can focus
amazing.
on something. Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Hard to change gears?
Very hard.
That's me.
I hate like being in the middle of something. I can't multitask. I need to do one thing at a time.
Buddy. Okay.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. I just told Katie before you got here, I was like, Monday is podcast day. That's when we do the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I'll go and do someone else's podcast and then I'll go home. That's Monday. It's such a gift to an ADD brain. By the way, they were like, you don't have ADD, but you have symptoms of ADD. And I was like, what's the difference? I don't understand. I don't know what they meant.
So you got a diagnosis?
Yeah.
And they said you have certain symptoms of people who have ADHD, but you do not have it.
Yeah, I don't know what
now,
the
by the way,
difference is.
it's my understanding that ADD is no longer a thing.
It's
It's
only
now
ADHD.
all ADHD. I don't know
It
why.
ruins my joke because you can't spell dad without ADD because my dad definitely had it. And I sympathize with him because when I think of something, oh, fuck, I did it today. Just this morning, I go, I forgot to reply to an important email. I just do it. My dad had to write it in a notepad and then maybe never do it. Of course he was stressed out.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably had a brain like mine.
Yeah, I think I maybe got it from my dad. He and I struggle with the same thing. So I can't read. It takes me to read 20 pages of a book, to sit down and be like, I'm going to read 20 pages and I'm not leaving this couch until I've read 20 pages.
Yeah. Too long.
Can take me. Now, if I really get into a zone, I could maybe do it in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. But really, it's going to take me at least an hour and probably an hour and a half because every single sentence I read makes me think of something else. Then I start researching that thing, and then that makes me think of something else. And then suddenly I realize I haven't had enough to eat. And then I go get something to eat, and then I realize, like, have I hydrated? And then I realize, like, oh, wait, there was that supplement I needed to take.
Yeah.
Then I go back to the book, I read one more sentence, I start researching something else, then I forget, I remember something else that I had forgotten. And the next thing I know, it's been an hour and a half, and I've read 10 pages.
Yeah. I'm the same. I have to listen to books. Do you listen to books? Because it's the treadmill.
That's better for me.
It's treadmill. You can't stop.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's treadmill. You can't stop. You go, I do have to hit 10 back a lot.
Yeah, because you start thinking about something.
But it trains you. I think you can kind of practice that groove. But you want to get real nuts. You want to get nuts?
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
get nuts.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Buy the book and the audiobook and have them race. Because when you're reading, it sounds insane, but this is for books that I really, really want to absorb.
Have them race? What do you mean?
Meaning I'm listening to it on audio in the car.
Okay.
And I'm reading it because there's something calming and nice about reading a book. But I've already read it. I've already kind of had it read to me.
Oh.
It's like you never read a book. Like if I read Blackberry, the book, like based on the movie, I would love it because I'd picture you and there's Jay. You know what I mean? It takes his effort out.
Yeah.
As opposed to when I read a novel, which I don't often, but if I read a novel and I don't know, I'm like, okay, it'll be Matt Damon for now. And then later it's like, Tim scratched his gruff red beard, and I'm like, oh, he's got a red beard. And you have to like change.
I was picturing the wrong guy.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't like redhead Matt Damon.
Yes,
You'll
yeah.
never see redhead Matt Damon. That ruins Damon. Dye that guy's hair red. Is he a star? He's done.
Well, he's Jesse Plemons, isn't he? If you dye his hair red,
You have won the day with that observation.
I mean, I feel like that is what Jesse Plemons is.
Jesse Plemons is redhead Damon.
He's redhead character actor Matt Damon.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Same ski slope nose. I say that with full respect.
Yeah.
There's a little, like I'd like to slide down that face. That sounds sexual. I just mean I'm a tiny skier. And I want to go down.
Yeah, you want to.
And then have sex with them.
Yeah, and then do a little jump and then bang his face.
Of course. I mean, the only reason I'm skiing his face.
Yeah.
It's for the Black Diamond. It doesn't make any sense.
He is a phenomenal actor.
Plembins?
Yeah.
What were we doing before Plembins? You know what I like about Plembis? We didn't know we needed them.
He's also one of those guys that can do drama and comedy equally well, and I always love those people that can do both, and it seems, Everything he does also seems effortless,
Agree.
yet extremely effective. It never feels like he's underplaying it, yet it
Yeah.
never feels like he's trying.
There are actors. Look, I actually like Jared Leto. I'm not shitting on Jared Leto,
Yeah.
but when Jared Leto is being restrained, I can sort of sense that he's being like in Blade Runner. Speaking of Blade Runner, he's like, "We make angels out of flesh." You know, like I can kind of feel him choosing, just 0.01% feel him choosing to be cool.
Oh,
With Plemons,
yeah.
I never get the sense that he's making any choice. You know who else Plemons is?
Who?
He's Phil Hoffman. He's our new Hoffman. I'm not.
Yeah.
I wish we still had Phil Hoffman, obviously, but here comes the guy, sexy big. You know what I mean? He's not. Plemons isn't in the gym.
He fluctuates, I feel like. But
He does.
yeah.
He goes all over. But
Yeah.
like, I prefer. I don't know how to say it. Soft Plemons is what I'll say. Like in. What did I just see him in? But I love him, and I'm thinking of Ending Things, and he's very.
Oh, wow.
Normal.
Yeah. That movie was...
I actually found it quite relaxing to camera.
Was that the... That was the...
Charles Kaufman?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I struggled with that one a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Glenn, do you like restaurants? I know you do. It's from Glengarry Glen Ross. There's a type of movie. You watch it, and you immediately go on YouTube, type in the name of the movie, and then the word analysis.
Yeah, explain
and
this
it
to me.
really helps.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm shocked at how good they are.
Yeah.
These people doing
People are
this.
amazing at breaking
They're
down those things, yeah.
Incredible.
Truly.
And I'm like, oh, that's correct. I've never watched one. You have to find one that has a lot of views. If it's some guy being like, okay, this is what it is. But that movie is from the perspective of, this isn't a spoiler, this helps us enjoy it, of Jesse Plemons' character as the old man who's the janitor at the end of the movie who never pursued the woman. It's very interesting. But it's very clear when someone points that out.
I need to watch it again. I don't remember it.
It's worth watching again. And those movies, when you're sad, are you like this? If I'm feeling a certain way, I like need a movie to like slide it on that shelf and reflect back to me what I'm feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Are you that way?
So it depends. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm most of the time with movies, I struggle to get myself to watch something challenging anymore, and I don't like that about myself. Like I want to watch. I think it's just because.
Well,
do you have kids?
I was going to say. I almost said in that gap, play back the tape. I'm just kidding. I was about to say, well, you're a dad.
Yeah. I want
And I'm a dad.
things
I'm
to
also
be
a dad.
easier now. And
Oh, Val and I can't.
movies can
stop
very easily.
watching The Office. It's like a problem.
Which one? The American one or the British one?
I've seen the British one so many times that we now rewatch. Meaning, that's me trying to be cool. It's the American one, which I think is excellent, and she likes that one, and I like that one, and we watch that. It's also more relaxing. The British one isn't relaxing in the same
Right.
way.
It's very
more
anxiety
cringing.
inducing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I actually do like that.
I love it too.
Yeah,
but what
I
are
do
you
like that.
watching? What is this? What is your relaxing?
I think I've become a little bit of an adrenaline junkie when it comes to movies. So
Crank
like I
and
find
Crank
myself,
too?
like watching like
He's in Crank and Crank too.
the crazier the movie is, the more I'm interested
That's
in
an
it.
ADD thing too.
Yeah.
It's so stimulating, it's unstimulating.
Yeah.
Like, do you calm down in Times Square? You know what I mean? It's,
No, that's too stimulating for me. But what does calm me down actually is really hectic music.
Yeah,
Like
I get
really loud metal,
Yeah, you
like
watch,
atonal shit. Like, my wife cannot understand my music choices at all because I
Yeah.
like things that are complicated and strange.
Get her on the
and-
phone. Let me talk to her. I'm just kidding. In the movie The Big Short, Christian Bale plays that genius who
Right.
figured out the housing crash, and he's listening to death metal, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I totally understand.
It can't, like focuses him.
It's so much that it becomes nothing.
Yeah.
We push past too much, but like a cab driver snapping his gum will drive me crazy because I'll
Oh.
fixate on it.
So, okay, so do you have misophonia?
I think I know what that means, and I do.
Okay.
Tell me what it means, though.
We should look up the actual definition of it. It can be anything. It's
It's
an
not chewing
unhealthy
specific for me, yeah.
fixation on any particular noise that causes you to go into a state of fight or flight, basically.
That's me.
Yeah, chewing, snapping gum, repetitive noises like pencil tapping, stuff like
Yes. So
Dogs barking.
Yeah,
Birds, anything. Yeah. No, I definitely have that.
I have dog hearing. Once I hear it,
Yeah.
I can't unhear it, and
Yeah.
if it continues, I can't do anything else
Well, I obsess
until it goes
about
away.
Just to join you in that, you know what I hate about leaf blowers? Everybody hates leaf blowers. But what I hate about them
You know what I hate
is
about? You know what I hate about leaf blowers?
because everybody hates them. Nobody's like, oh, good, the leaf blower is here. You know
Yeah,
what
that's
I mean?
true,
Oh,
right.
good.
Right.
But some people like us, I'm assuming, are can be troubled by them. And I'm all about like get the pain to talk and like so you can catch yourself believing something absurd. We can get into that in a second. But it's like I think about their finger on the trigger and it's going and I think about the I project onto that the irregularity of the press to a carelessness that then becomes a voice. This man doesn't care about me.
That is exactly
Yeah.
my problem with
Yeah,
it.
he doesn't care.
He doesn't
could
care that
be
he's making-
doing
yeah.
like a steady stream and then stop. He's just going. Rah, 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 rah. There's a disinterest that I find threatening. It's like I rewatched Blackberry last night 'cause I loved it. I watched it months ago, but I rewatched it
Nice. Thank you.
pleasurably. But when they say, good enough is the enemy of humanity, it's like good enough. There's like a farting kind of laissez-faire. It's just like whatever that I hate. And if it were intentional and focused, I know this sounds insane, but I like outing the insanity.
It sounds insane to people that are not us.
Yeah.
To me, it's exactly how I feel about people chewing loudly.
What are you
I'm
doing?
like,
You're not
filling the
thinking
space
about me.
with your stupid ass fucking noise, and,
Okay.
and I can't have my own thing going on because you need it to be about you. Like like somebody on the subway.
Playing a Switch at full volume, a Nintendo Switch.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
That's. I was gonna say. I feel like people like smacking and popping their gum
Yeah.
on the subway.
Yeah.
I would just be like, oh God, fuck off! There's 50 of us on
Yeah,
here. Why
yeah,
does this need to
yeah.
be about you?
And I'll trace that all the way back to I wonder if where you live is being inconsiderate to you, whether it's your family or
Right.
your neighborhood, like the broken window theory. You live in a neighborhood where the windows are broken, you behave accordingly. So it's like, how have you been failed? That's how I'll extend it to a failure, a systemic failure of humanity, that you have never been afforded silence. So then you therefore walk around like, bah, 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 because you were failed.
Yeah.
And now I feel bad and I hate you. It's a very weird, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Here's the one that I can't wait. Val and I went on our honeymoon to Bora Bora. Okay. Ever been?
So did we.
You
swear.
did not.
I
Four
swear.
Seas?
Yep.
Shut the fuck up.
Please cut this out of the podcast. We sound like such douchebags.
No,
Did
this
you
is
go
when
to
we
the
sound
Four
like
Seasons?
douchebags.
The
When
Four
we
Seasons
cheers
Bora
our- Well, look.
We went to the same. Yeah, we went to the Four Seasons
You
Bora Bora.
can't cut that out. It's too weird of a synchronicity.
It's so beautiful.
It's incredible. And it's a
amazing.
honeymoon and it's great.
It was. Yep.
And you're going to appreciate this then. It's the quiet, the greatest amenity of a nice hotel. Now I sound like a douche. Let's just own it. Is the agreement that everyone's like, it's like going to Disneyland. Everyone's friendly at Disneyland. Four Seasons, grown up kind of Disneyland. Everyone is like, we will be civil and we will be quiet. You love this.
Wait,
You love this.
No, I'm laughing because I want you to finish, but something so outrageously against what you're saying happened to us at the Four Seasons.
Can't wait.
But go ahead, please. Because you're absolutely right.
That's what you're paying for.
Yes.
At dinner, we don't know each other, and we're on our honeymoons, and I'm at the table next to you. Am I gonna get drunk and come up to you and be like, "Hello, Eastern?" No.
Yeah.
Because we're fucking evening attired gentlemen. We're just pretending.
Right.
But it's bullshit. But it's a delightful bullshit. In the same way that not everyone's kind, but at Disneyland you're kind. Hello, Jim.
So you like that everyone is behaving themselves, basically. And there's a decorum.
There's a decorum, I suppose you could say. That really sounds snobby, pretentious, but whatever. So day 3, I grew up with sound trauma, meaning quiet was safe. Any noise, a car pulling in the driveway, the gravel driveway. Oh, Glenn, the gravel driveway. Gives my brother and I PTSD if we hear like a car pulling in the
Why?
driveway.
No, that's
because it just
interesting.
meant here comes the boom, basically.
Oh,
it's like it's
okay.
not going to be chill in about 35
So
seconds.
there was chaos in your household.
Yeah, for sure, in a controlled, weird way.
Yeah.
So I associate sound with I am not safe. That's why I want to get the voice to talk to me.
Oh.
This guy doesn't care about me, the guy, but it also means I'm not safe. If he won't care about me in this way, how else will he not care about me?
Oh my God.
And my physical safety, I would encourage you to get curious about what the voice is saying, and you'd be shocked. You said fight flight. What's fight flight? Fight flight is I'm not safe. I'm going to be attacked. I'm going to
Yeah,
be.
well, I went to therapy for this. I went to a hypnotherapist. Is that
Yeah.
what they're called? A hypnotherapist?
Yeah.
Because my problem with people smacking their gum was so bad, and Rob and Caitlin on Sunny are both like they chew gum, or they don't do it as much anymore, but they used to chew gum nonstop all
Yeah.
the time, forever.
And if they were here, Glenn, what would you say to them?
I would no. I've said,
I'm just
they know this. I've had this conversation with them. They
No,
know.
I'm
they know.
teasing.
They know, and they couldn't understand. Because I finally had to say, I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I don't want to be somebody who tells you can't chew gum, but just so you know, it drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy,
That's
and it's not your
kindness
fault
to them
It's
and
not
to
your fault.
yourself.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't know. You're not doing it on purpose. I realize it's my thing, but I just need you to know that so that you can maybe take that into consideration.
Yeah.
As you're,
And I hope they
going nuts on your gum.
I was that way on Crashing. We had a co-ed bathroom that there was 2 stalls in it. And I had the showrunner say it because I couldn't say it, but I was like, can everybody just lock the fucking bathroom? Let's treat that like a 1-seater. I don't need to go in there and hear ladies going potty. And I don't want them coming. You can tell I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And I don't want them coming in while I'm going potty. But you know what I mean? It's a sensitivity
Yeah.
of like, can we just? But I had Judah Miller. I was like, you say it like it's you, please, because I can't lose face. Same with it's all caring. It's all attention. I really think like the snapping of the gum is like, don't you know I'm here? And if you don't know I'm here, you can take it existentially. Do I exist? Like, do we agree that I'm also here? That uncaring can make you feel unsafe. But I think it goes back to that mammalian kind of level of like, okay, then are you a person that will push me if there's a fire? Like, do you only give a fuck about yourself? Like, I hate this.
Right.
So anyway, going back to the 4 seasons, day 3 or something is so quiet. And I love just sitting in the quiet and contributing to it, being part of it. And you hear the ocean and you hear a bird and the wind. You're just like, God damn it, this is so nice. Then some people check into the little hut next door. They go out on their little dock. It's a shared lagoon. It's our lagoon. It's not your lagoon. Put a Bluetooth speaker out there and just start playing fucking music that echoes throughout the whole thing. And my response to it internally is as if Shredder and the Foot Clan just walked in and they're gonna take me down. And there's like 50 of them.
Yeah.
I have like a danger, death, and anger. And here's the voice I wanted to put to you and I know you're gonna relate. My fantasy is all, I suppose you could call the front desk. My fantasy is always to go out on the lagoon, put out a bigger speaker
Yes.
and play my
That's
music
right.
and go, do you see? What if we all do it?
Yeah. What if we all did this?
What if we all did what you're doing?
Yes.
Because you're King Ralph, is that?
That's exactly what it is for me. It's that feeling of like, what if we all did what you're doing?
That's what a society is.
What if none of us used our blinker ever.
Yeah.
What if everybody, when they wanted to get into the left turn lane, stuck the ass end of their car out and blocked the lane of people going straight? What if everybody did that? What if everybody took up 3 parking spaces when they only need 1? What if everybody did that? And so no, that is exactly what pisses me off.
I knew you would like it.
It is that lack of.
I knew you would like it.
It drives me nuts. But that's why you're a comedian too.
Of course, and it's why
the
you're
only way to
hilarious.
get it out. You those observations. You have to turn it into comedy, because if you didn't, you'd be an insufferable human being.
Buddy, comedy,
Yeah.
and I want to put this to you, is like taking 5 Xanax. Val, my wife, will diagnose, you need to go do a show.
Oh,
and it's
interesting.
because I'm starting to get a little like a Paul Giamatti character. And she's like, go do a show. And I do.
Get it
and
out.
I'm good for like, it used to be when I started, I'd have to do a show every night. Now I do a show. I'm good for 2 weeks.
That's
that
good.
Xanax stays in my blood for, not always, but sometimes 2 weeks. I'm like clean and I'm less concerned. And that's best Pete. It's the same, MDMA Pete is very similar. If somebody was playing music and I was on MDMA, I'd be like, wow, sail away. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Like I would, because I wouldn't see a separation between me and them. I'd be happy that they were happy.
Yeah.
But comedy actually, believe it or not, helps me get in a more open-hearted place and a calm place.
Yeah, I've never thought about it that way. For me, it's I wonder if it has that effect on me, and I'm just not aware of it. But yeah, for me, it's just it's like when you see in movies the person like hitting the punching bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're angry, and they had a shitty day at work, and they let it all out on the
Well, that's what's great about Dennis on the show.
Yes, it is.
Is you
Totally.
can be a narcissist and, buddy.
So I'm playing all the people that I hate as that character. That's what I'm doing. I'm
Larry David, too.
I'm getting
Yeah.
into that mindset of like, I don't give a fuck about anybody else. It's all about me, and just satirizing it.
Right.
It's the only way I can stay sane, is to satirize it.
And do you ever, my heart sometimes breaks that I'm like, God, I hope other people have some way, whether it's a Japanese break room and you destroy a piano with a crowbar.
Right.
I hope you have something.
Some
'Cause
sort of an
without
outlet.
this, jerking off to internet porn is not good enough. In fact, I would say that's hurting you. I don't mean to be that guy. I could be like drugs and cigarettes and porn. I just don't think it's as helpful as it seems. But like blowing off steam, we need something 3-dimensional and creative. Like your angst and your anxiety and your depression, your anger is like lava. And we can't funnel it through a straw. Like internet porn, or just jerking off in general, or any eating. It's too simple. You need like a playground for that lava to go. Does this analogy fall apart?
You need a place to
something
explode
big.
like a volcano. Like you need
and
to
a
let
lot
it
of
out. Like
space.
Right.
And collaboration. I have to imagine on Sunny, isn't it, well, let me just put it to you this way. It's more leading. I always ask leading questions, but it's like, you're with your cohort. You're co-conspiring to ridicule what bothers you. Could you imagine a better therapeutic exercise if I was like, you hate gum snapping. Hey, Glenn, write a scene where and it is funny to come in, I'm chewing gum, right? I have gum in my mouth, be like, loudly chewing gum. What's up, fuckers? You get to do that? That's role-playing.
Yeah.
That's role-play.
Yeah, it's great.
And then you get to script what they say, and then you script what you say back. No wonder we all feel like we slept for 12 hours after like a good scene. You know what I mean?
Well, and also, I think some people's outlet is observing comedy, right? And seeing someone like you on stage.
That's, yeah.
Talking about all the things that piss them off, that irritate them about other people, all the observations that they have that they don't have an outlet for. You are their outlet for that.
Right. That's the
We
gift.
are their outlet for that. And I do think that is a tremendous contributing factor to the success of It's Always Sunny. Definitely is, I think people are desperate for satire, and they're desperate to actually see awful people behaving in awful ways and getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, we're living in a time right now where satire and comedy in general is a very dodgy thing. It's a very difficult thing to navigate because people are so easily offended, or we love to cancel people. We love to assume the worst of people.
Right.
You know, it's a difficult time. I think maybe less so for stand-ups. I think like you guys, it seems like that's still a safe place for people to do it. But
Yeah.
and I think the only reason we're still getting away with it is because we're grandfathered in. And
You are.
and I do,
Yeah.
but I do think that people can sense that the people behind the show are actually good people, and they're not the people that are on the show. We're having a go at all of the people that all of us despise.
I love all this. I could stay on this for the rest of the conversation. It's like when you have a dream, it's not polite, it's not correct, it's not clean, but like as humans, we're built in to process the complexity and the overwhelm of reality with dreams. And everyone does this.
Yeah.
And your dreams are so fucking weird and inappropriate. And it stands to reason that things that are grotesque belong in art. That's why Sonny is going like, no, let's be grotesque. You know what I mean by grotesque. I don't mean gross.
No,
I mean
you
like
mean exaggerated awfulness. Yeah.
Satire and awfulness
Yeah.
writ large, all these fancy ways of saying like, let's do it loud. Because buddy, it's not a theory that the human animal needs satire. It's a fact. Your brain satires your mom and your dad and that dog and your boss and your dentist and that guy who gave you a bad haircut in your mind. And sometimes you're beheading him with that thing you used to cut clay. And that's what the fucking Pope does. The Pope goes to bed and sometimes dreams. And this is no disrespect to the Pope. I'm saying it's built into the human psyche that you sometimes have a dream that you wouldn't share. And the artist, the money, I would say, for an artist, is to deal with the complicated feeling of like, is this all right? Because you're putting it on a stage under lights instead of in the safest private theater of our minds, awake or asleep. Mm-hmm. But I feel that the money is for I come back to my hotel room after a show and I'm like, wow, you get a vulnerability hangover or you get kind of like but what else are we doing? Like talk about narcissism. Like I like telling stories where I'm the idiot or I was selfish or I was crude or rude or whatever, because using the stage or using your show as a way of being like a politician and going like, and the guy who's named Glenn, who's played by Glenn, does the beautiful thing, like Highway to Heaven. You know what I mean? Oh, I do. What is accomplished? What is catharsized? What is dropped off in watching that dream?
Yeah, I do think. And I think that. I think it's also that the grotesqueness that you're talking about too is an important part of it, because it's taking, something as simple as a slightly inconsiderate thing that someone might do, and saying, take that to its natural conclusion. Like, what is the most extreme version of that, right? And, just because you are doing what you're doing, it's like a smaller version of what we're satirizing. It's the same thing. It's maybe not quite as bad, but we're trying to show you the most extreme version of what it is that you're doing when you're being inconsiderate and awful.
Yes, and the response to inconsiderate
and
awfulness.
and us too. Like, I mean, we're not fucking perfect. Like I've been inconsiderate at times. I've
of course.
You know what I mean? I've done dumb
Glenn,
shit. Like,
you wouldn't be able to write the show if you couldn't see yourself.
Yeah, all
in
those
both
impulses
sides
are in
of
me,
that.
too.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I actually think this is something else I'm deeply passionate about, is like play it out. Like play out, get your pain to talk, but you can also get your anger to talk. And if you get your anger to talk to you honestly, it's murder. It's like we're murderous, horrible. The guy who's got his butt sticking out and blocking the lane, I'm not saying you want to actually murder them, but the feeling is very similar. And if you play it out.
I think that there.
And the way to get rid of it is to look at it, not to deny it. That's what I'm saying.
Definitely.
Is to say,
definitely.
oh no, you wanted to kill that person.
Yeah.
When we hear about road rage, we go, can you believe it? Yeah, I can believe it. because we're all fucking nuts.
Yeah.
We're all fucking nuts.
Well, maybe you can relate to this too. Like I've spent a lot of my time analyzing my own behavior and trying to make improvements on it so that I'm not being inconsiderate in the world, and I fail at it all the time. But I burn a lot of calories trying to not be the guy who sticks his ass out like that. I pull all the way in the lane.
Yeah.
You know, when I park my car, even if there's like a space and a half, like to the place where the parking spots end, I'll park all the way on the end so that when that person leaves, that whole place, I'm
section.
thinking
Yeah,
about
and that's
all
great.
that stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit like, you know, crazy, but it's also why I get so angry when people don't think about those things. Is I'm like, why am I spending all of my time thinking about how to make the world better for all of you guys when you don't give a fuck?
Right.
You don't give a fuck about us.
What
Like,
you're saying is like the narcissist only wins when we let them win. You know what I mean?
well, they're definitely winning in terms of like they're causing me to react in a way that, you know, I wish I didn't overreact, you know,
Right.
to other people's behavior.
Yeah, but I don't think it's crazy. I think it's alchemy. It's like you're taking, this is what it's hard to say this is what we should all be doing. All I'll say is it's a beautiful thing you're doing with your pain, because you're taking it and getting curious about it and then going, what's something, and you're not even being this deliberate about it. It can be ugly and complicated and even fueled by spite. I'll take it. I'll take kindness, however. If you're going to park that way so this all becomes parking spots, I'll take it however it comes. I don't care if it's for you hoping beyond hope that the guy comes to. But like, here's what's interesting to me. I'll go so far as to say everything, what we're doing in this world to a large extent is yes and no, win and loss, life and death, right? Meaning even you and I going like, and we don't snap our gum, like my Uber driver, is me sort of murdering my Uber driver so that I can stand victorious and go, I found the problem. So even that is meaning there's no escaping it. This thing that we're doing, even right now, I'm talking and you're not talking. So I'm in a very micro way sort of dominating. You know what I mean? I don't mean to introduce that energy to this. It's just kind of what's happening. Two people can't be talking. Two people can't sit in the same spot. Two people can't drive the same car. You know what I'm saying? So like acknowledging that we're limited by the way our brains work and the way that we perceive reality, and just going, okay, what's the best we can do in this game? Meaning, if I do a kind thing and it's really motivated by murder and spite, fucking fine. You know what I mean?
Because it's still the right thing. It's still a good thing.
Yeah. Beethoven wrote blah, blah, blah because he wanted fucking, I don't want to be too crude and say he wanted to get laid. But, you know, he did a beautiful thing. And at the end of the day, he probably wanted to be famous and be revered. But he was also channeling like the divine. And he wanted, when he went into a restaurant, people were like, Ludwig? And that's okay. It's all okay. It's all fine. You just have to kind of like loosen your grip on it and go like I felt weird saying I'm dominating, but like that's because I started to judge myself. Like, am I? But then you can just go like, it's just the game we're playing. What is the most beautiful way we can play it? And I would say getting together with your friends and making something, even if it is, you do get to be a known person and you get to get paid and you get all this stuff, but you also get to do something that people watch and go, ugh. Do you know how fucking, I could cry. Someone watches and goes like, thank you. Well, like how I felt when you knew what I meant about the music at the Four Seasons.
Yeah, yes, you feel seen. You're like, okay, I'm not crazy like this. Right. There are other people who struggle with these same things, and you feel less alone in that sense.
And how valuable is that?
So now I want to tell you the story of what happened.
Let's start recording.
So this speaking of the social contract that you enter into when you go to a lovely place like the Four Seasons.
Oh yeah, what happened?
So my wife and I, we were also on our honeymoon, and we're sitting in like a cabana, you know, by the pool, having some cocktails, reading our books, whatever, just having a lovely time. And you know, there was this older gentleman.
What if you tell the story and it ends up it was me? What if at the end of the story,
kind of had like a soft baby ass.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait, that was... It was everything you said you weren't.
go on.
It was this older gentleman, very tan, looked, he was he what?
I just have to interject. No place, Katie, go to a Four Seasons, go to like an elite place or whatever you want to call it, an expensive place. All you see are Jabba the Hutt's and slave Leias. That's all you see.
Jabba the Hutt's and slave Leias.
You see these tan, disgusting men who made millions and millions of dollars and found a slave Leia. I know what I'm saying. That's pretty horrible.
That is kind of...
I'm just labeling it. I'm just saying it.
So I
see it.
This guy found his slave Leia, but I think maybe he found her like 20 years ago because she wasn't like she was probably like, I don't know, in her 50s.
Yeah, okay,
and
sure.
he was like in his 70s, or maybe
Okay.
she was in her 40s. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't. This is a while ago, so I don't. I just remember he was a little bit older. Not to stereotype, but yeah, she looked a little bit like a trophy wife-ish.
Which is, by the way,
She
why
was-
Jabba the Hutt and slave Leia resonates. When you
That's-
see that, you
yes.
go, oh, it's a big, powerful, disgusting slob and a beautiful woman who's chained to them. And you go like,
Yeah.
oh, Irene and Dan.
Except the difference there is that she's chained herself to him
Totally.
as opposed to
Yeah.
him. But anyway, she was sitting on the edge of the pool like this with her feet in the pool, and he was in the pool. So she's sitting on the edge with her feet in the pool. He's in the pool. He's got her foot in his hand, and he is using a pumice stone on the bottom of her foot and pumicing. Now, for those who are familiar, this is a rough stone that you use to slough off the hardened and dead skin. And he was pumicing her foot into the pool.
I'm dead.
And Jill and I were just like,
I'm dead.
we have to say something. I was like, I can't. And I get so upset that, and I've gotten better about this. Like, I still struggle sometimes when I get that upset to say something. She'll say something. And I love this about her. And she was like, I have to say something. And I was like, yes, please do, because I can't do it.
What do you say? Could you please not exfoliate your wife's foot dead skin cells into the shared water?
That's basically what she said. She was like, I'm sorry, can you not, like, can you not, I don't know what she said, but it was something like that. Can you not pumice
was her
her
tone?
dead skin into...
Calm.
And they were just like, and they looked at us like, oh, these fucking Karens. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, really? And then they said, I can't remember, it was either she, I think it was her. She goes, they have a filter. And we were like, yeah, but that's disgusting.
And before it's filtered, you ever swallow a mouthful of pool water? I don't want to be able to prove we know each other through my DNA. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is fucking rancid.
It was the most outrageous thing, definitely the most outrageous thing I've ever seen at a nice resort like this. And the fact that, like...
Did they stop?
They did stop. They did stop. Yes, but they, very begrudgingly, and as if we were being extremely difficult.
That
and
you were being callous to
that
their
we were.
situation?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
I might have got the
crazy.
staff in on that one. You know what I mean? You just go, could you please? Like, I was shooting a show and there
I
was
can't believe I'm saying this, but there's a woman and a man pumicing
do you know
their skin into the pool. Would you mind so much? Would you mind terribly?
Yeah. They could do it so nice.
You executing them this evening in front of all of us as part of the show?
Yeah.
Would you mind terribly?
They cut the heads off of the... Yeah, that would be the best.
Everybody who was by that pool would have been like, yes! Yes! I have no problem with this.
Can I say that is also a part of these fantasies that we're neglecting? It's almost like you are like a political figure. You get them to stop. They do. Often in the aftermath of these situations, people go, thank you. Meaning people need an advocate, which I'm not trying to force this. Blackberry, which I'm obsessed with, I think it's a fantastic film, and I think you're fantastic in it.
Thank you.
Is addressing something that you and I must love. We're watching it. And you play, what's his first name?
Jim
Bosley.
Yeah.
Jim Bosley. And when I was telling Val, she was in. She wanted to watch it. She loves Sonny. She loves you. She loves Jay. We're in. We want to watch it. But I was like, look, we're kind of throwing me a bone because I love movies about American corporations. I love them. I think they're great allegories for a human life, like how you have to be careful how you manage your own interior business. So Jim, as a character, but also as something that we all have in our psyche, is such a necessary energy. And this is what I said to her. I was like, it's a bunch of nerds that get like kicked into gear by like a fierce guy. Mm-hmm. And what a fantasy it is, and what a joy. I just want to give you this compliment. You're now, look, Sonny may run like the Fuhrer 1,000 years, but like there will always be that Glenn. But now we are entering into Ed Harris Glenn. We're you know what I'm saying?
I like that. Yeah.
We're dramatic, fierce, kick-ass, steely blue. And let's be real, bald. You were bald. I'm talking like Trump. And let's be real, you were bald. He was beautiful bald, cut his hair off. Or was it a cap? We're still debating.
No, I shaved it.
I knew you shaved it!
Yeah.
Looked too perfect. Sorry, Katie. But Val also thought it was a cap. I was like, that's
Oh,
shaved.
really?
That's
No, I
shaved.
shaved it,
I have a
yeah.
lot of questions about that.
Yeah.
But real quick, Val and I were having a conversation about somebody, and there's this like soft, open-hearted where you're like, my friend is dating somebody, and they've been married 4 times, and I'm making this up. And, they do a lot of cocaine, but they also really love her. And there's something beautiful and necessary, like sling blade. Sometimes you just hit it with a sling blade. It's not beautiful. It's not nuanced. But sometimes, and I do this with Val, I go, yeah, he's been married 4 times and he does coke. Like you going in the movie, he's like, yeah, they took you for a ride. That's fucking done. Give me the phone. Give me the phone. I fucking love it. And you do it to perfection, not just the character, but the energy of like, we all sometimes have to go. I was talking to an Uber driver in Utah, and she was going on and on about, all I said was, are you from Utah? And she talked for 20 minutes, guilt-ridden about how she's never left and how she wants to leave. All I said was, I love it here. Do you love it here? Are you from here? 20-minute monologue about how she feels bad that she's never, and she's like, maybe I'll leave, but this is what she said, there's 4 seasons here. I'm like, come on. And then she goes, and I know where to take my car when it's broken. I'm like, you're Yelp and 4 seasons away from any other place. You're clearly stuck. And she's like, but I want to leave. And my Jim Bosley wants to go, you're never going to leave. I just want to tell you, you're never going to leave.
Right.
You're never going to leave. He's been married 4 times and he does cocaine. You're never going to leave. And fucking love it because I need it. I have people like that in my life. I had a therapist like that. They would just name it and go, they're fucking you. They're fucking you. Stop it. Would you just talk about that energy? I mean, or whatever that made you think of?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's wish fulfillment on my part, certainly. Because there are times in my life where I wish I could be more like Jim.
Jim Bosley in the 4 Seasons in Pool would be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I shave my armpits? There's a filter. I'll shave my armpits. What if I just take a shit? Will the filter get that?
Yeah.
And you're just going like someone's cooking cookies. It's amazing. Go on.
I think that's maybe part of what makes that character work in terms of his rootability. I think, for as brash and authoritarian and, tyrannical as he can be, I think a lot of people are watching that character and going, yeah, finally somebody fucking saying something. Like, you know what I mean? And he's a little out of control and he overdoes it at times, but I think it's the reason you're rooting for him is because you understand the rationale. And I think a lot of us do wish we could be more assertive in the ways that he's assertive. I admire him for that. There are other things that I don't admire about that character. I think there's a petulance that honestly, like, I even have trouble watching my performance.
When you're like, I'll buy the whole NHL. That
Yeah,
moment?
yeah. It's funny because people love that scene, and it's become one of the most iconic scenes in the movie. You know, me screaming,
Think I won't do it?
Yeah. You think I won't do it? But also me yelling, I'm from Waterloo where the vampires hang out.
Oh yeah, buddy. Here's your Oscar.
Yeah.
Because try to say I'm from Waterloo where the vampires hang out
And make it work.
and not have people
Yeah.
go, yikes.
Well,
And it's a little out of focus. Shout out to the DP. There's like a moment of it goes out of
does it
focus.
go?
Just
Oh,
it's
I never
looking
noticed that.
for you. And it works. It helps.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. I think somebody else mentioned that to me.
Yeah. It makes it like, we just caught this moment.
Yeah. Which was part of the aesthetic of the thing. I'm not sure that they meant to do that there, but maybe that was just the best take.
Hardest job on set.
Focus puller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one in particular too, because the way Matt shot that movie, we a lot of times didn't even know where the camera was. He would find a place where he could shoot through 15 panes of glass, and he'd have the camera 50 yards away
What a genius move.
on a long National Geographic style lens.
Yeah.
And on this, little I forget what they call it, it's like a little ball, like this little it makes it look like you're doing a handheld.
Yeah.
But because
Yeah.
you're so far away, it can't be handheld because everything would just be like that.
Yeah.
When you're that far away. So it's on like a
Wow.
gimbal. A gimbal.
A Gimli, son of Gloy.
Yes, sure. Whoa, holy shit. That sounds like a real thing. Is that a Lord of the Rings reference?
Yeah, it's the dwarf.
Okay. Is he really the son of
Yeah, Gloy's a great guy.
Gloy?
You'd love Gloy.
I can almost guarantee you I wouldn't.
You never see Gloy.
I'm not.
This riff is not even on the maps, and Tolkien drew a lot of maps. This one's not even on the map.
Well, Gloy must have been in didn't they? Wasn't that Amazon? Wasn't that a prequel, or was it a?
I don't consider
or was
that
like
canon.
a bunch of years later?
I'm just kidding.
Okay,
You've
I don't know. I didn't
exposed.
see it.
I don't know.
I don't. I'm not into those. I'm not into the Lord of the Rings. But
Yeah.
anyway, he shot. It was on a gimbal, and so yeah, I think the focus puller had a difficult job.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. But
But that must have helped the performance. They did that in the movie once as well. Another Glenn.
what do you mean they
Glenn
shot
Hansard.
super long lens?
Well, neither of them were. Well, Glenn had acted a little bit, but Marquetta hadn't really acted very
Right.
much. So they would shoot them on a long lens, like half a block
so they
away.
didn't even know where the camera was.
And all the
Half the
people are real people.
Yeah.
Real. You can tell he gets recognized a couple times. But it was how they naturalized the
It was
performance.
so good.
Isn't it great?
That movie blew us away. Like my wife and I went and saw it. We went to go see a different movie, and it had sold out. So we're like, "Oh, what's this once movie?" Well, we just ended up in that movie, and we were like, "That's one of the best movies I've ever seen."
I had
in
just
my
gotten divorced.
Oh.
And I watched that movie. So
Yeah.
you can imagine the table was set. I was like, I am a sinking boat.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
So good.
Incredible.
So good. Anyway, but that moment, I had conversations with Matt about that line because that line was in the script, and we both knew what it was from. It's a reference to a. Do you know this?
No.
All right, so
Is it in Dune?
you can no, it's a real interview that this woman was doing.
Oh, he said it?
No, not Jim Bosley.
Oh.
Not Jim Bosley. This woman, I don't even know who she is, was doing a random like talking to people on the streets thing, and she starts interviewing this random guy, and he looks normal, and when he starts talking, you're like, oh, he's a normal guy, and then after he gets about his second or third sentence out, you're like, oh, this guy's not well. He's not well. And instead of cutting it off, she just let him keep going. And at one point, he rips his shirt off and says something like, he doesn't say, I'm from Waterloo where the vampires hang out, but he says like, something like that. He says something about being from Waterloo and where the vampires are or something like that. And so Matt loved it so much, and he loved the randomness of it, that he just put it in the movie. And I was like, Matt, I don't know what this line means. What the fuck am I talking about?
But
Like,
I know
what
what it
does that mean? And he's like, and he was like,
I think it means what we've been talking about. You know what I say when I have road rage is I go, you're king of the road. I go, you're king of the road.
Yeah.
And my daughter,
Nobody else but you.
The cliche is your kid repeats back what you say. So sometimes now somebody will speed past, cut over 3 lanes. My daughter, who's only 5, will go, you're king of the road. And I'm like, good. I'm glad you have that one. That's a fun. It's not
Whereas
me going.
my wife would look at me and go, see what you're teaching.
I think you're king of the road is a great tool to give my daughter to be like, you can let out your frustration, but you don't have to be like, fuck you, you're fine.
Right. That's definitely
the
a
80s
healthier-
alternative.
Yeah.
You're king of the road.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's acknowledging like, it's actually bowing. You're king of the road.
Yeah.
And I think in American business, when you say I'm from Waterloo, which is where Blackberry was, I'm from Waterloo where the vampires hang out, you're saying, you're doing what we've been talking about, or what I've been saying over and over, which is like, let your anger speak. Interview it. What do you mean? I'll buy all of NHL. Means you're trying to kill me, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole business, that's what the American corporation is. That's what the ego is. It's like, kill or be killed. I'm a vampire is the most honest thing. Mm-hmm. You think fucking Elon Musk doesn't sometimes hang up the phone and go like, I'm a vampire? I'm a vampire. I know he looks like he's allergic to what he just had for dinner, but he's also a vampire. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's honest.
Yeah.
It's primordial.
Yeah, it is primordial.
That's why I think...
And that is why people are responding to it. And that's why it's in there. And that's why I did eventually...
I want to see take 1.
That might have been take 1.
Shut up!
That might have been take 1. Actually, I would love to
Here it is.
ask Matt.
It's the Oscar.
That's the Oscar. I want to ask Matt that. Actually, I'm curious
Which take it was?
because I remember the whole time I was like, Matt, I don't know if I can deliver this line because I don't know what it means. And then we got there on the day, and I'd been rehearsing the scene, just like going over the lines or whatever. And I was like, well, I've had enough experience to where I've said to Rob and Charlie, I don't want to do this. I don't get it. It's weird and it's a little too far.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And they're like, just try one.
Yeah.
And then I do it, and it becomes an iconic moment from the show. That has happened 15 fucking times.
Can I interject that there's Phil Rosenthal did the pod, and there was a moment where Ray hugs his dad, and he didn't want to do it, and he did it one take, and it's like the moment from the series, and he still holds that over his head. He's like, you gotta hug your dad.
Yeah.
He's like, but I wouldn't hug my dad. It's like, hug your dad. Hug your dad.
Yeah.
So you have to hug your dad sometimes.
Yeah, and I knew that. Once I got to it and I was there on the day, I was like, well, I mean, if it doesn't work, and I had also, like, I trusted Matt at this point. I was like, he knows what he's doing. He knows what's working, what's not. He's not going to put it in the movie if it doesn't work. So why not do it? Like, I'll just do it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go for it. You know what I mean? And I was like, if there is any meaning behind this, it's exactly what you said. It's just a primordial scream.
No, it's perfect. It goes back to what we were saying about dreams.
Yeah.
We dream about vampires. Yeah. We dream about werewolves because we are vampires and we are werewolves. And what is more vampiric than an American corporation? Your behavior is very vampiric. And sometimes you want a vampire. That's the moment that's so fascinating is Jay Baruchel's character knowing he should let this shark in. And he says, you know, they're talking about how the other corporations are like pirates.
Pirates, yeah.
And he goes, you know who's afraid of sharks? Pirates, right?
Yeah.
So we know that it's a necessary energy.
Yeah.
It's like I'm saying, it's like they've had 4 ex-husbands or wives or whatever. Sometimes you need that, like the sling blade approach. Mm-hmm. So, but I like the moment. Matt is the writer-director, but he also plays...
Yeah, he plays Doug.
Which is like, just, I didn't know that. Katie told me that before we started rolling. And I was like, I'm so impressed. Having written, and you don't direct, but you know, it's very hard to be incredible in a thing that you're also writing and directing.
He has so much experience with it. Most of his other things, he doesn't consider himself an actor at all. Because he's like, I just play myself. He's like, I play myself. I'm not acting. And in a way, it's true. Like, I'd say he is an actor because there's always like a deep truth behind what he does, and I think that's why his performance in the film works, because I always buy it. It always feels like he's telling the truth and being honest. It never seems like he's going for a laugh, even when it's super funny. And I admire that. And
I have such issue with him thinking he's not
That
an
he's
actor.
not an actor?
Well,
Well,
only because I've heard Louis say the same thing, scandal noted, but Louis C.K. is like, people say I'm not acting because I'm playing myself, but like, okay, someone's putting makeup on your face and they're micing you and they're asking you where you're going to be standing
Yeah.
and how you're going to be turning and all that sort of stuff.
That's acting.
And then you have to pretend that you're anxious about a pitch meeting. What do you think acting is only if I'm like, hello, Glenn?
Well,
That's
I
acting?
can relate to it.
Yeah.
I can relate to it in the sense that I've written or rewritten over 200. Was that right? No, not quite. Over 150 episodes of television. And I still don't consider myself a writer at all.
Yeah, that's because, well, I don't know what it's because. I think it's.
I've spent a lot of time typing dialogue into Final Draft. And
But you don't think you're a writer?
No.
That's mojo protection. That's Radiohead going like, we don't want to leave. I think they're in Oxford or something. It's like, it's not superstition, but it's like, I don't want to change how I think of myself, because if you start going, I'm a writer, you might write like a writer, and you want to write like a guy who's breaking into television, and that's your mojo, so you can't concede it. Just a theory.
I don't know that that's what it is, if I'm being honest. It's that every time I write, I feel like I'm writing out of necessity, not because I want to.
You think
And
writers
that's how
want-
Matt feels. That's how Matt feels about acting. He didn't want to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Jay Baruchel said, "No, you have to play Doug. Like that's
No,
you." Yeah. No, you gotta play.
That was good.
Sounds like Christian. It's like
You got to do it.
yeah.
The official Canadian posture.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, no, Jay was the one that talked him into it. He did not want to play the role, but he was like, no, but you he's like, that's the only way I want to do the movie is if you're playing Doug.
Yeah.
And so I think Matt recognized, and so he kind of rewrote the character to basically just be him, because the real Doug was not like that.
Yeah.
He was a little bit like that. The character of Doug in the movie is an amalgamation of the real Doug and I think this other guy that used to work there. And I think he was almost more the other guy than it was the real Doug. But so he basically rewrote the character to cater to his own thing. And again, I can understand why he doesn't consider himself an actor, even though I would argue that he is. Because he's like, I'm only doing this because Jay wants me to do it, and because the way the character's written now, I'm the only person who can do it, and I know I can do this. And it's the same reason why I write Sunny, because I'm like, because nobody else can do it,
Right.
like but us. It's our core group of people, and when you remove any ingredient, all of a sudden it's not grandma's meatballs anymore. It's something else,
Right.
And I know that. So I'm writing out of necessity. It's not that I don't enjoy it. It's not even that I don't think I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I do think I'm pretty good at it. I just don't identify as a writer because I don't have this desire to write. I'm writing because I told FX that I was going to make a show and I have to make it now. But I don't want to. If somebody else could write it, I would love that. I would love that.
Everything you're saying describes a writer to me.
Well, yeah. But I do identify as an actor because I want to act.
I don't know about that. I see writer. All three cameras get a mug. Yeah, okay, because you want to act and act in
wanna
other
act.
things. But
I
you don't
love
want to write
acting.
other things? Not really.
I mean, I have at times wanted to. I like the idea.
Yeah, you
of
wrote the
it.
sci-fi thing.
We wrote this. Yeah, we had that sci-fi pilot. I also wrote a script. I wrote a feature recently with a friend of mine. Needs some rewrites, but it's good. It's really good, actually. I think it's one of the best things I've ever written.
Yeah.
Very proud of it. And it was actually after we finished, like the first draft of that. It was the first time I actually thought, like, oh shit, maybe I am a writer. This is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I was very proud of it.
It's interesting. Well, Seinfeld, he says he has an image of what a comedian is, and he's always falling short of it. Again, there's another theory. It's similar to my first theory, though. It's like you want the engine to keep working, and the engine of aspiring to be the ideal of what you consider a writer. that's Paul Thomas Anderson or somebody
It's not
wonderful.
that. It's not.
What
I
is
promise
it
it's
that-
not. It's just that it's like, I think in order to identify as a writer, I need to have some internal engine that gives me the desire to write and the need to write. Like I have to
It has to
act.
be compulsive.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, that's how I would define it. Like I have to be an
I think you
actor.
helped me understand. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I never wrote, this is what I mean. If I had a wonderful acting career ahead of me, and hopefully I do, and never
We're
had to
entering
write
into the Ed Harris decade.
That's right. I'm going into my Ed Harris decade, and never had to write anything ever again. If somebody were to say to me, "Don't worry, you never have to write again," I'd be like, "Oh, great,
Yeah.
great."
I
And
understand.
that's what I mean.
Yeah. I'm writing something right now, and I really love it. So I get what you're saying.
But you wrote your show too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get this all the time, but I am interested in the like, Always Sunny is always, I said Charlie Day did the podcast as well. And I'm sure we talked about this, but the idea of like, and we can just talk about it briefly, but like the gatekeepers, right? And then it's like, well, let's just build our own gate. Let's just talk about it briefly. Because you and I are both products of that. No one, in fact, when Crashing got picked up, I said to Val, I'm trying to get in touch with the excitement. Because you know how it is. Everything takes a really long time. You write it, 6 months later you pitch it, 6 months later they say yes. So sometimes you lose the feeling. And I'm like, if I had auditioned for the part of Pete in Crashing and got it, it would have been so much closer. Like, and it goes into production next month, and we would have gone out and popped champagne and eaten an ice cream sundae and danced and all that stuff. We did do that stuff, but I had to get in touch with it. And the way that I got in touch with it was like, imagine if you got this part, like you would have freaked out. But the truth is, and Jason Segel's this way, they weren't writing movies for Jason Segel. Maybe they were. Maybe I should take him out. But I'm just saying, I think he would agree.
No, I think he was creating opportunities for himself.
And
For
let's
sure.
just briefly, just because it's helpful. I think a lot of people are out there going, and a lot of actors are going like, "Where's that thing?" And Glenn on the show is the thing, and you wrote it, and then the sci-fi thing, and then this feature, like the feature I just finished the feature as well. It's for me, and if I auditioned for it, I wouldn't get it. And you know what I'm saying? Because they'd call the 25 Plemonses of the world, and it would go to Plemons, and I'd go, you're king of the road. You know what I mean? I'd have to concede the point. But you kind of trick it by going like,
Yeah.
it's what Stallone did. I know you and I both have a lot in common with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
But you know the story that like people
I'm
wanted to...
often compared to Sylvester Stallone.
Me
Just-
too.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the way you talk.
The way I talk, my overall sort of like masculinity.
Yeah, your appeal.
My appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toughness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But do you know this, that like people wanted to buy Rocky and make it?
Yes.
But he said no
Yeah.
because he wanted to be in it? Mm-hmm. Just because I think it's helpful for people out there, and there are a lot of people out there, I think, that are probably listening that are like, I have stuff, I want to do it, I don't know how to do it. And making it your own way seems to have been your path, and it continues to be your path
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
I mean, the hustle is real for sure. Like, if I just sit back and wait for the phone to ring, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
I have to be actively out there, if not actually writing, developing things, and just putting things in motion. And maybe 1 out of 10 of those things will ever actually come to fruition. But if I don't do any of it, I don't know. But I also can't I'm just not one to just sit and wait. I can't do it.
Compulsion.
Yeah.
I want to make stuff.
But also, like, I don't feel like, I think I've also come to terms with, like, I don't, and maybe I'll get to a point in my career where I've got so many things coming at me that I no longer have to spend all that time. But I think I'll still do it then, because I'll still be unsatisfied with 80% of what I'm getting.
Yeah.
So I'll want to be developing the things that I'm excited about. So I think I'm always gonna do that. But I just think in this business, like, yeah, you have to be developing things for yourself. Otherwise, nobody's gonna hand it to you.
Yeah.
And And I think I've gotten to a point where I think for a while as an actor, I thought, oh yeah, you do some stuff, you're seen as a great actor, and then eventually people will start giving you things.
Yeah.
And I think I was maybe for a while there a little upset that people weren't giving me things. And then now I've gotten to a point where I'm like, well, why should they?
Yeah.
There's other people out there. Like, I mean,
Right. McConaughey.
Yeah, there's McConaughey, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he and I have the same body, and he's already a bigger star, so they're going to give it to him.
We'll take a break, and I actually
take a
know
quick break.
what I'm going to ask when you get back.
This doesn't always happen, but just this week, I was talking to a couple friends about gut health and boosting your immunity system. Your immunity system. Is that right? Boy, it's early here. But we were talking about ARMRA colostrum. They were telling me about ARMRA colostrum. And I'm like, no, I tell you about ARMRA colostrum. They're a Pete's pick, and I'm on board. You guys know I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity and my gut health, improve my fitness, metabolism, and enhance my hair and skin radiance. Well, I recently discovered an incredible product, which is ARMRA colostrum. What is it? Colostrum is the first nutrition we as humans receive in life. It contains all of the essential nutrients our bodies need in order to thrive. And ARMRA colostrum has harnessed that. It's a proprietary concentrate that harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that rebuild the barriers of your body and fuel cellular health for a host of research-backed health benefits. What are those benefits? Like I said, it reactivates hair growth and glowing skin. This is a benefit I noticed almost right away. I'm talking within weeks of taking it. I put it in my smoothie, don't even taste it, gets in me. Hair and skin radiance. Fortifies gut health and ignites metabolism, which is always, as I feel like as I'm getting older, my metabolism starts slowing down like a train. I get it boosted, and my gut health, always about that gut health. Fuels fitness, performance, and recovery. Recovery is the key one for me there. Again, I'm 44. After workout, hurts more than it used to. It's wonderful to have a secret weapon in my corner that can help me bounce back after a workout or after honestly just travel. Stuff takes it out of you. So I love it. We've worked with them on a special offer for weirdos. Receive 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra.com/weird or enter weird at checkout to get 15% off your first order. That's tryarmra.com/weird. I was talking about it with my friends. Now I'm talking about it with you. ARMRA, get into it. We're also brought to us by our friends at Ritual. One of our oldest and longest Pete's picks and a total game changer for me. And I can attest, people always say multivitamins, or I feel like I've heard my whole life, multivitamins, you just pee them out. Ritual is different. First of all, it's different for a lot of reasons. It's got a minty taste. It's traceable, which means you know where all of your nutrients come from. It's vegan. It's gluten-free. It has a delayed release. That's the key. So when I used to take regular crap vitamins, I felt like I could see it coming out of my system the first time I peed. Well, Ritual has fixed that. It doesn't break down until it's in your low intestine, which is where vitamins and nutrients can actually be absorbed. It's also a wonderful life hack because I fast. I fast all the time, and I still take my Ritual. In fact, I'm not eating today, and I just took my Ritual, and it doesn't upset your stomach. So zinc, try taking zinc on an empty stomach. It makes some people throw up. Not with Ritual, because it's not breaking down until it's in your lower intestine, which is incredible. It's also got D3 for your immune system. It's got omega-3 DHA to normal muscle function. Heart health is D3 is muscle function. What I'm saying is, I used to go to my doctor. They were like, there are all these gaps in your diet. This is anecdotal. This is just my story. Started taking Ritual. No more problems. Filled in those gaps. It's incredible. Get this, Essential for Men is a quality multivitamin from a company you can trust. Ritual's offering weirdos 30% off your first month. No lie, you guys know from the intro I'm traveling. Ritual is one of those things I have to bring with me. So get it in your routine and get 30% off. Visit ritual.com/weird to start Ritual today or add Essential for Men to your subscription. All right, back to Glenn.
All right, here's what I was going to ask you, and it's completely random, but we'll see where it takes us. There's a scene in the wonderful Blackberry where you smash a payphone. Here's my question. Look, it seems very obvious. It ends with a shot of half of the payphone. Mm-hmm. So you eviscerate this payphone receiver. I know. I've been in show business a long time. It's got to be a pre-broken phone. Like it had to be rigged in a way that it would break with the wires and good for that last shot. But you also slam it quite a bit. Did you do the slam take and then they flew in the half phone, or did you actually break it?
It was not pre-broken. It wasn't even in the script, actually. The break wasn't even in the script.
You just broke a Canadian payphone?
Well, so when we got there, I asked Matt, I was like, is that a real payphone or is that our thing? Did we build this? And they were like, oh, no, we built that. And I was like, okay. And so
Why? You're like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Just roll. Just roll.
No, I think I told him, I was like, on the last one, I might break it.
Yeah.
And he was like, great, But what happened was we did like 2 or 3 takes, and whatever take that was, I didn't tell him that I was going to break it on that one. And I didn't know I was going to break it on that one. Mm. It really, really, really legitimately was one of those moments where it just happened. Like I knew I wanted to do it on the last take, but I didn't know that was the last take. Nobody knew it was the last take. It ended up being the last take because that was the only phone we had.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, shit, I hope we got it, because it just was one of those things where when I was doing the take, I was getting legitimately worked up in that moment, and this does happen where I can go to that place, and I was genuinely fucking pissed off in that moment, and I just started fucking doing it, and it wasn't breaking, and I was like, I'm not gonna stop until this fucking thing breaks. Like, and so I just kept hammering it, and then it finally broke, and when it did, a piece flew up and hit me right above my eye. I was like, fuck, that could have gone in my eye. I cut my hand. My hand was cut. I had a cut on my forehead. Because it wasn't scored. It was like a real thing. But also like really cathartic. Breaking things is very cathartic.
We're back to the Japanese breaking room.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was great.
It's one of the great mysteries of life that like screaming, I'm surprised primal scream therapy isn't more popular.
Yeah, truly.
Because that stuff really,
Yes.
like your body wants to be mad. We're just like, nah, the mind. We'll just kick it around up in our heads and yell in our heads. It's not the same.
This amazing thing, like, I have a lot of respect for people who can sort of like really get their actors who can get their internal engine going before the scene, right? They do what they. Is that nicotine gum?
It is, yeah.
I knew it.
You want some?
No, I'm good. Is it Lucy?
It's just good old fashioned Nicorette.
Okay.
Why?
I don't know. I'm noticing all these biohacky things.
Yeah.
Now I'm noticing the Liquid Death, the nootropics. You've got the Aura Ring, and you've got the Apollo.
That's not an Aura Ring, but yeah, the Apollo is on social mode, keeping me kind of
okay. And then you've got the nicotine gum for
stimulant,
cognitive enhancement.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do they say? It's like
sorry,
it's like
I noticed you pocketing it, so I was oh, he's not just chewing it; he's pocketing it. That's
I wouldn't just
gum.
chew gum. I don't love gum.
Yeah,
that much.
But you're not worried about it like having like
corroding?
like having like a little like on camera or whatever.
Oh, I suppose. I guess not.
I hadn't noticed until
I shot a whole pilot with nicotine gum lodged in my.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. I had some on the way over.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Well, look. I think it's interesting and worth stepping out just a little bit. We started.
By the way, don't let me forget. I do want to get back to the point that I was trying to make before.
Of course.
But go ahead.
Then finish it, and I won't forget nicotine gum.
Okay, don't forget your thing.
Or if I do, who cares?
I've come to accept. So I think something that a lot of actors struggle with. I suspect because it's weird. Because in LA, people don't really talk about acting. They don't really talk about their technique. They don't talk about that shit. In New York, certainly when I was going to college, we did, and in theater, everyone talks about their process, right? In LA, no one wants to talk about their
Even
process.
that word, it's like, ugh. Yeah.
And I suspect most
not
people
for
don't
me.
want to talk about their process
'Cause they
don't
don't
have one. Or they don't feel, or they do have one, but they don't feel confident in talking about it because they're not sure it even works. So, and I get that, and I can relate to that. I feel the same way, actually. I think it's a very awkward thing when you're in theater. The process, you are part of a process. You are rehearsing with the other actors and the director for weeks upon weeks before you ever display the piece, whatever it is, So everybody's on the same page. You've rehearsed it, all of you together. You figured it out together. When you're acting in a film, you got to go home and figure it out by yourself. It's like, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
In fact, when you're auditioning, often what I feel is being auditioned isn't really your performance. It's your ability to interpret the script correctly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, it's this kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Well,
I know
interesting you
this
bring that up.
director. Go ahead.
I found that I had to, as a younger actor, I would get in my, anytime I booked something, I would get on camera, I would get in my head about it. Auditioning, I was auditioning all the time, so I became very comfortable with auditioning. So I started playing the trick of kind of what you said about earlier when you were getting back into character for your character who is you for Crashing. Like I would have to trick myself I would show up on the first day of set and I'd be like, just think of it as an audition.
Yeah, interesting.
Because otherwise I would be overthinking it, overanalyzing it. Instead, because with an audition you don't have that much time, so you kind of have to go on instinct a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm get where I'm going with this. Like sometimes I feel like actors feel like they're not supposed to do the thing that they've read in all the acting books that you're not supposed to do. When you read something, you're not supposed to draw conclusions about it right away. You need to read it a bunch of times. Neutral, stay neutral. Stay as neutral as possible. Read it a million times and then slowly build the character. I think that's bullshit. I think that's utter nonsense. Or maybe that works for some people. What I came to accept about myself, and I've never read a single book, a single act, and I've read a lot of acting books because I find that stuff interesting, that advocates for my position on this. Every single one of them would tell me that what I'm doing is wrong.
Wow.
And I've come to the conclusion that it is not wrong. It's right. For me, it's right.
Which is?
And I think it's probably right for a lot of people. I do the exact opposite. The first time I read it, whatever I'm feeling, that's the thing. That is the thing. That is my North Star from that point forward. And I read it, and I still read it a million times, but every time I read it, it's like, prove me wrong. Prove that initial feeling. Because when you go see a movie, you're watching it, and you're having feelings right away. Nobody tells the audience, like, watch the movie, but don't feel a certain way about it.
Right.
Watch it again, and then watch it again, and then see how you feel. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
If something's well written, you should have an initial instinct of if you're an artist, and I have. Why would I ignore the first thing that a script makes me feel?
Yeah.
That's everything to me.
I agree.
And I'm like, and and I build everything off of that. And often I'll realize, like maybe upon, rehearsing it or talking to the director, that's a couple things I was wrong about to begin with. That's fine. I can make the adjustment. But why would I ignore that first feeling that the script gave me? That's the Bible for the thing.
And it's very Jim Bosley. You know what I mean? It's that energy, not the whole guy. I just mean, you know what it makes me think of is when I'm doing stand-up, and sometimes I practice the self-care, especially if it's been a while, I'll listen to a recording of me doing the hour, like the most recent weekend before, I'll listen to it. And that's prepping and going like, oh yeah, that's how I sound, that's how I do it. But I know that if I prep, this is gonna maybe sound insane, I'll be forfeiting the like raw animal, no, I know how to do this and no one knows how to do this and I'm gonna fucking do it however I do it. It might be the only time I do that joke in that way, but I'm an artist. I live on the edge of the knife. And there's this like fucking confidence that you get from not preparing that sounds similar to going like, sure, I could put on my reading glasses and have a cup of tea, or I could down the espresso and do the fucking scene. It's the same thing. I always tie it back to sex, but it's like you get into the great love makings you've done. You weren't like, I'm gonna do that. And I hope we do this position. No, you're there. You're there, and you're trusting your gut. And I think there's something. David Mamet says interesting actors are interesting people, and it's trusting. Funny people are funny people. Like Pete, you're funny. Do the joke. And maybe you'll do it in a way you've never done it before and you'll never do it again. Maybe it won't even work that well. But what's more important is claiming, putting the flag in it and going, it's what I say before I do stand-up is I go, whatever happens is the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Whatever
That's right.
happens is the show. Not, did I do it right? Fuck you, how I did it was how it happened. Do you understand?
Well, so this is the thing, right? So certainly when you're playing, you are yourself on stage. So you're very much the way you are now when you're on stage. It is a heightened version of you, but it's you.
Yeah.
It's your writing, it's your feelings, it's your passions, it's you. So I think you're right because so the challenge becomes though, how do you get that comfortable with a character who is not you?
Yeah.
Right? So that when you're not playing yourself, but you want that person to feel as lived in and real as you are when you're playing yourself. That becomes the challenge. That is the preparation to me.
Right.
You know, and then being able to kind of like when the camera rolls to just be like, okay, now I got to throw all that preparation out and just see what happens.
Yeah.
And just live on the knife's edge, like you said, and just jump and listen and play.
Buddy.
And there is no wrong, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that need to be hit, but you know, you got to trust that I've done the preparation. I know what beats need to be hit. I understand all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you just trust that it'll be there. And if it isn't, take one didn't work. You've got take two. Like
that's what
whatever.
I'm saying. That there's an Eminem lyric that comes to mind where he goes like, first take, no mistakes. Something that's weak shit or something. I relate to that rawness. And I know Eminem is doing multiple takes. Every rapper is doing multiple takes. But that's the place you want to be in. Meaning, I was going to say even on Sunny or whatever, there were so many things that we did that were like, that might have even been embarrassing on the day and seemed wrong. The example that came to mind is I'm the voice of the E-Trade baby, and I was shocked, I know. I was shocked at how often they would use me talking to the director in the commercial.
Oh, wow.
Because there was something about how I would be like, oh, I see. Just like so natural. And then have the baby go, oh, I see. Like, but it was just me.
Yeah.
And I wonder if anything comes to mind like that was wrong. There was I remember I did a scene with Gina Gershon and she did something that I remember on the day, and I was a new actor. This is season 1. And I was kind of like, wow, she just went nuts. Like the character wasn't really supposed to go nuts. And she just did this like, almost like childlike, and I remember, you know, we yell cut, and I'm a comic, and so part of me is going like, that was weird. That's what we used. And her job was to risk embarrassment.
Right.
And then that became the thing. Does anything come to mind that you did that was like embarrassing or weird or not as scripted or not intended, and then it just, oh no, that actually is what we're supposed to be doing?
I mean, certainly on Sunny, that stuff happens all the time. But on Blackberry, there were moments. There are moments in the film where I didn't know it was on camera.
Oh, really?
That was just Glenn preparing for a scene, like that.
By the
You know what I
way,
mean? Like it wasn't even Jim. It was me.
Yeah.
Like I think there's this one moment when I'm sitting in the car, like waiting for Jay's character to come down because we're going to New York to pitch the phone or whatever, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like,
That's
banging
you.
the steering wheel, and I'm just like, you know, that's me getting ready. That's me getting ready for the scene. But he's found it a compelling moment, you know, for Jim getting ready for the meeting in New York, and it totally works. You know what I mean? And I think there's a couple moments in there that are where I'm not saying anything. That's where it's just Glenn like not realizing that they're rolling.
That's what Paul Thomas Anderson said. They wouldn't. I don't know if he's a I don't yell action guy, but I think he would just roll whenever Daniel Day-Lewis was on set. I don't know how much he was hyperbolizing, but he was like,
Oh, no, I bet
a lot
that's
of
true.
the movie was Daniel would show up and would just start filming him, and I feel like that has to be true.
Yeah. I mean, Matt did a lot of that. There's a lot of Jay's performance in there. There's a lot of stuff that he caught like very, again, he shot it like a National Geographic.
It's really
animal documentary.
An argument for digital, shooting it on digital.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that on
You just burn through film
Although
too
I think
quickly.
Paul Thomas Anderson is doing it on film, but that's if you have $100 million.
Right, that's Paul Thomas Anderson. There's very few people can get away with that. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Let me see. I just feel like there was something that you brought up that I wanted to touch on, but it might be slipping
Well, we're talking
away.
about nicotine gum.
Yeah, that's kind of boring. I remember Dr. Huberman, the internet psychologist or whatever he is, neuroscientist, was saying that nicotine is like, and I'm not even saying other people should do it. I'm just saying there's certain things that grab you, and it really grabs me. But he's like, it's like, it puts you in an ideal state to write or think because it kind of simulates cardiovascular exercise.
Yeah, it does.
It's
yeah,
like-
that's a good way. Yeah.
He's like, you're sitting, but it's like you're going for a jog.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
And that's why Hemingway, all these guys are smoking.
Right,
Is
right.
because they're getting nicotine in their system.
Yes, we found a better delivery system that's less unhealthy.
I mean, based on, I did a lot of research. No, you can say that. I mean, anybody that takes, a podcast as a doctor is a dum-dum. But I did a lot of looking into it, and it's very benign from the sources that I've found.
Same.
And then I remember saying to Bill Burr, who your character does remind me of, I don't mean like you were doing Bill Burr, but I'm like,
No,
Bill
I
is
get
that
that
kind of guy.
Totally.
And although he's pretty chill, he's evolved, I think. Not that it's unevolved to be that. I love that, but it's like, he last time I saw Bill, he was chill Burr.
Yeah.
But anyway, chill Bill is better. What was I saying? Oh, I told Bill to chew nicotine gum because he loves cigars. And I was like, why are we bringing carbon monoxide into this?
Right.
Like, and I don't need a doctor. You know how there's that trend, cigars aren't bad because you don't inhale them. I'm like,
No,
you
they
put them in your mouth,
definitely are.
lungs.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's not good to put smoke
You're
in your mouth.
absorbing whatever it is, whatever compound is in your mouth
Yeah.
is absorbing through your gums.
That's what your
how
mouth
you're getting,
is. Exactly.
That's how you're getting the nicotine.
That's right. It's all these.
But you're getting all the other stuff too.
It's all these open hands. Your mouth is just thousands of open hands.
Yeah,
going
yeah,
like,
yeah,
what do you
ready to
got?
catch it.
Nutrition? Or so you're putting smoke in. So I said to Bill, I was like, I thought it was.
That's a funny image.
You can't give Bill. He won't take it. It's like your character says when they offer him water. It's like, nah, never take the drink.
Yeah.
Thirst is a sign of weakness. Bill, I could see Bill saying something like that. And I was like, and I think advice is a sign of weakness. I'm not sure about that, but I was like, Bill, you got to just try nicotine gum. You like the way nicotine feels. By the way, a cigar has about 300 milligrams of nicotine in it,
I bet.
which is like chewing
Does it actually?
100 pieces of nicotine gum. Yeah, between 100 and 300, depending on the size, which is insane. Which is
my
why you get
God.
high if you smoke one.
That's,
So all that like lightheaded well-being and also nausea and all that stuff is because you just had way too much nicotine.
Right,
So I
right.
tell Bill, I'm like, just chew the gum. And in this situation, I'm like, maybe I could tell my dad something. There's like, will the dad listen to the son? And
What'd
I'm
he say?
He goes, nah, I don't just want the thing. I want the experience.
Yeah.
I want to light it and smoke it. You just, and I'm like, no, you just want the thing. Like, I feel like that's a generational. I wanted to say to him, like, if there was a gum that was alcohol, wouldn't you just chew a couple pieces? Like, you want everything,
Right.
To sip whiskey.
Well, I think it depends, right? I think it depends,
get
right?
both- I
Like
get it
sometimes you
both
want to
ways.
sit and have a cigar with your friends and
Yeah, but if I was
have
smoking a
glass of
cigar
whiskey.
right now, I look like an asshole.
No, I think you
Yeah.
look pretty cool. I don't know that I'd want to sit in here with you, but
No, that's true. Which is why a cigar is the official appendage of comedy. George Burns said this. It's like, because it's invasive.
Oh.
It doesn't care. A cigar is also, the fact that it's phallic is perfect because it does fuck everything around you. Smoking a cigar is like, no, you'll breathe my air. It goes back to shaving calluses in the pool.
Yeah, really. I was going to say.
But a comedian is sort of like shaving calluses in the pool. You know what I mean? There's an element of like, in my new hour, I talk about my butt, and I'm like, and my butt kind of has a double chin. Like my butt stops and then it stops again. And the punchline is, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just feels like it's a rush to share it with somebody. And that's kind of what it is. And that's why when stand-up goes badly, you're like, you're right. Why was I telling you any of that? Like, to get up on stage and be like, my daughter said a funny thing yesterday, and they're with you is the greatest thing in the world. But to me, when you don't have that connection with the crowd and you're just talking about your daughter, you're like, you get the feeling you were at a party and you talk too much.
Yeah.
You're like, why did I say all that? That's when stand-up goes wrong.
Yeah.
For me. Have you ever seen a ghost? You seem like you haven't.
Have I ever seen a ghost?
Yeah.
No.
UFO?
Nope.
Anything unexplainable? You ever go to a psychic and they knew something?
Well, I had that's
Go ahead.
This was probably just a dream, but
It's fine.
I had an experience a couple of times in my apartment in New York where it seemed like I was being visited by something.
There you go.
One time in particular, I remember I was laying in my bed and I was asleep, and I felt this entity sort of enter my room, and my eyes were closed. It was like I was asleep, but I was aware of my position, and I was aware that I was asleep. And then as it got closer, I wanted to open my eyes, but I couldn't. I couldn't open my eyes. And as it got closer, it was making this like humming noise. It was like, as it got closer, and I was like, fuck, and I was like trying to open my eyes, and I couldn't, and it was just hovering over me with this like loud like, and it was fucking scary as shit. And finally, like, I did like get my eyes open, and it was still there.
What?
It was there.
What was it?
I don't know. It was just this entity. It was just this like blob, not blob, like I don't know, like a shapeless kind of entity, black, and the noise was still there. I opened my eyes, the noise was there, and then it just went, oh, and it was gone. Like, so I opened my eyes, it was just there for a second, and then it dissipated, and the noise went away. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like that's about as close as I've come to anything like that. And then I had another experience in the apartment. Yeah, it happened more than once. Go ahead. I don't remember the other time. I just know. I just remember. That was the most intense one. But I just remember that it had maybe happened like 2 or 3 times.
Very Salem witch trials, by the way. Yeah, that's very like.
Is it?
A spectre visited me.
Yeah, it was a specter.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was very, very real.
And the paralysis is very normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that means. It could have all just simply been, my brain and dreaming and all that. I mean, that's probably what it was, but
right.
That's the closest I've ever come to what you're asking.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's pretty excellent.
Yeah.
Great sound work.
It was.
You were like the saxophone in Morphine. It was excellent. And then what was the other thing that happened in your apartment?
No, that was it. It was just multiple visitations of that entity.
Sorry. I thought it was.
But it felt like the same entity each time it happened.
Wow.
And I think it happened like 2 or 3 times. But that's the one I remember.
And there was ones where you weren't in bed?
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
this was like, I mean, we're
Sometimes-
talking 25 years
But also
ago.
when the brain can't make sense of something, it tends to discard it. It's like we impose the limitations of our finite minds on reality, even though reality isn't imposed by those limitations.
Well, so do you believe in ghosts? Is that what you ask? Like, why?
And then I vanish. No, it's just it's not so much that I believe in ghosts as much as I like the types of conversations that it encourages. and
Yeah,
sparks.
yeah.
I like the feeling of thinking about it. But I'm more, what is your mind anyway? I was on LSD once and I was like, but these are just things I'm picturing. Like I'm just imagining these things. And it was like, what? It doesn't make sense now, but it was like, why is it a dismissal to say it was a dream when we don't really understand the phenomenon of that which is observing the dream?
Right. Is it possible that you are connecting to something? In
Yeah.
other words, like that
But
it's
how
not
could-
just your imagination,
Yeah.
but it's an actual connection being made.
And even what is your imagination is like an even more perplexing question. Like if you just picture a giant banana sitting on that couch, both you and I can do that. And it's like, what are you doing? Like what happened? The brain, the mind, more than the brain, the mind, the phenomenon that the brain seems to be in control of or channeling can make sounds. Like you can hear a flute. You know what I mean? Now make it like kind of one of those Chinese kind of flutes or make it a violin. You can manifest sound more easily. You can manifest sight. You can close your eyes and picture the Reverend Al Sharpton. And there he is. He's not perfect, but he's there. So you see that the mind is capable of creation in 2 of the 5 senses. You can't do it with smells, really. You can kind of remember a smell. You can't really remember feeling as well. But like you do see the beginnings of manifestation as a phenomenon of the mind. Meaning spirituality is like either we are conscious beings that are experiencing a material world, or all there is consciousness. Meaning,
Yeah. Right.
I feel this and I think it's here, but really all that's happening is
Your brain is making it so.
and
But
the
like,
spiritual approach
yeah.
would say that's because this whole thing is one mind, localizing itself like a dream. At night, you localize, and this is all Rupert Spira. All respect to Rupert, I get these ideas from him. But he's like, at night, you dream of London, but you can't experience London. You have to localize yourself in the dream to be a point of reference so you can go around London. Even if it's flying, even if it doesn't have a body, you have to give it a camera, basically. You have to become a thing. So you could kind of extend that to here and say, what if there was a mind that could localize itself as millions of things? And that's a fun, these are fun things to think about.
Who's that author?
Rupert Spira. He's a
Rupert Spira.
non-dualist. I actually just saw, that's why I was in San Francisco. I went to a talk he was giving. And
That's cool.
He was incredible, and he is incredible. Do you have any spiritual leanings? That's usually something we touch on the show. Or another way to put it, if you don't want to like, a more general way to put it is like, what do you think is going on here? Is it just kind of like a change in the dryer or?
Yeah. I don't have any fucking idea. I don't, but I also don't necessarily aspire to know. Not that I'm not a curious person, but I guess I've come to accept that we're not meant to know, and so there's a certain surrender that I feel to that, where it's like I would never profess to be an atheist, because to me that's just as
Well, that can be certain. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, the certainty of that to me is just as ridiculous as the certainty of actually believing that your religion, your particular religion is the right one.
Sure.
And that, whoever your savior is the only one,
Right.
The certainty of that is absolutely fucking ridiculous to me. The ridiculousness of believing that God is like infinite and all knowing and impossible to understand, yet we have a book that explains all of it.
Right.
You don't see that, like people don't see the dichotomy, like how fucking ridiculous that is.
Right,
That
right.
so you've contained God into this this one volume book, and you buy that, and yet God is okay. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
But also to say that God doesn't exist, that also doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
Right.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
and
that's
I'm
a
okay
beautiful,
with that.
That's a beautiful place to go. It's interesting. I don't think Glenn or Pete will know, but I would say that in you, which does the knowing, meaning your spacious field of awareness, the part of you that would, if I say, again, this is Rupert Spira, but if you say, are you aware? And you go, yeah, I'm aware. So that awareness that perceives and experiences or knows the experience of all the changing phenomena in the world, that can't know, but it is it. That's what I would say.
Well, it's similar to what Eckhart Tolle refers to as the Watcher, right?
Right.
I think he calls it the Watcher.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
The witness.
Oh,
But
is that what he calls it? The
it doesn't
witness?
matter. A witness is just a watcher.
Yeah, but the fact that, you know, you can observe yourself feeling something
Right.
tells you that you're not the thing.
And that impartial
That there's two
witness that does the knowing, I think the more you explore it, and it's here right now. You can recognize it and remember it even while we're talking. Is it whether or not we can have the right signpost pointing to it or not, or explain it? I don't think that's correct. Meaning, Glenn and Pete don't get to go along for the ride. Meaning, I've had a lot of what I would consider spiritual experiences or moments of self-remembering. And then when Pete comes back, the best he can do is a little volume of a book. Mm-hmm. But any of those good books would go, this isn't it. You know, this is the finger pointing to the moon. But the moon isn't. The moon is kind of interesting. We always say the finger pointing to the moon because the moon is so far away. But the moon is looking out your eyes right now. But when you get even more curious about it, Rupert has this great thing where he goes like, there's awareness and it appears to be housed in us, right? In the same way that the space of this room is open, spacious, free, but it's the same space that would be in outer space.
Yeah, right.
But it appears, so we're like rooms, we're the space in the room, and we've been in the room so long, we start thinking we're the walls and the floor, but you blow those away and it's just one space. He would say one knowing. Mm-hmm. There's only one. And when you see how impersonal that knowing is, you know that it's not yours. You're just sort of renting it.
Right.
Or it's sort of momentarily appearing as you. All of this is a fun thought experiment, but the reason I'm sharing it with you and the reason I share it most episodes is because it's not just a belief, it's actually something on your ride home. You can just try to listen to morphine as that knowing presence. And it's again, Rupert would say it's not an efforting to remember that you're just consciousness. It's actually the relaxation of effort. You withdraw the effort to be Glenn and you rest in that simple knowing, the simple I am. And then listen to music just as that I am. Why? Or do whatever you're doing just as that I am. Why? Not so you can be in the Pete Club and believe what I believe. Who fucking cares? But because you can experience this like causeless peace and joy. That's why I can't share it.
Have you actually experienced like a deep like sense of that? Like
it's not exotic. I bet you have too.
Yeah.
He would say that when you do something you enjoy, one of the reasons you enjoy it is because when you like what you're doing, you don't resist the moment. So you surrender into it, and in that moment, the true I am shines. And this is why we're obsessed with things like food and sex, mountain biking or whatever, is because it can kind of put us a little bit in the back seat.
Yeah, you know, when you're living in a moment of danger, you can't overthink it. You have to be totally present in order to survive.
Yeah.
It is why I like acting. It's why I like acting, and it's why I like snowboarding. Those two activities, I feel like I'm not fully in control in a way that I like.
It gets Glenn out of the way.
Yeah, it gets Glenn out of the way.
And Glenn, he's not a problem, but he is a collection of memories. And what Rupert always says is close your eyes, you don't have to do it, and just pretend it was your first moment as if you were just a baby born and tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what are you?
Right.
And even if you say something, and this is what he did this past weekend, and you go like, well, I'm spacious. He goes, well, that's referring to a memory that you know there's spacious and there's confined, but you don't have any memory. So tell me about yourself. That's what he does to people constantly. He just goes, what is it? And you just go, most people are just left with, it just is. I just am. And that space, and this is his whole thing. It's not exotic. It's not for the chosen few that God has elected or whatever. It's for Glenn on his drive home to just go like, what if I just, he likens it to walking into a room. You've been in a bright, let's say you're snowboarding, and it's bright and the snow is bright and it's bright. Then you walk into a dark room after doing that and you can't see. And what do you have to do? Nothing. You just have to relax. And when we do that in the same exact way and just try to remember, not as a religion or a belief, what are you? And just settle into it. Your anxiety doesn't get to come. Your fear doesn't get to come. Your identity doesn't get to come. So it can be unsettling. But with practice, it becomes like, oh, I've been this the whole time. Like when you were 8, if you remember a memory when you were a child, Fred Davis says this, was there a sense of being there, right? Like think of a childhood memory. Were you aware? So that was with you then. And it's with you now, and it hasn't changed. It's neutral, like the space in this room. Your body has changed, your feelings have changed, but all that stuff is impermanent. And spirituality is trying to draw you to the constant, the I am that doesn't go anywhere. And that's what gets outside of time.
It makes me want to, I don't know, my brain goes immediately to this place of like just wanting to like throw my phone away.
Well, because your
Just
phone...
because it's such a distraction.
It's like another brain.
We just don't, I don't allow myself time to just sit and be anymore, ever. The space has to be filled with something at all times, whether it's work or conversation or watching something or being on my phone or typing an email or reading an email. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting and I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm really sick of it. Like, I was reading somewhere recently that a common symptom of ADHD is exhaustion. You know, there's so many things for our brains to ping around about and think about, and just we're jumping around all over the place. And I think I'm burning more calories than the average person because I'm just fucking exhausted, man. Like, recently I was in Montana with a couple of buddies of mine, and we barely really even ever looked at our phones. We were just, you know, going on hikes and like playing disc golf and shooting guns and fishing and just hanging out. And the air was so clean. Yeah. And we didn't have service a lot of places that we went to, and it was just magical. Yeah. And I was like, man.
I know.
And yet I do feel like I'm in control of it, but it's like we're all slaves. Like, all right, I mean, maybe you're not, and it's wonderful if you're not. I feel like a slave.
To everything you're saying. We're slave layers, and Java is the phone.
Yeah, Java is my fucking email.
Well, Java is your brain. Again, I relate to everything. I'm not floating off my chair right now. I'm drawn to this because for those of you not watching on YouTube. But I'm drawn to this because I need it, and because I also have. I'll just say I have ADHD. I mean, like that seems very clear to me, and I relate to that exhaustion. And I also can enjoy my yearning. You know, that like life, like I want more and I want more. It just has been hacked. Isn't it funny that Blackberry is kind of the precursor to like. Crackberry.
It was exactly, I mean, when everybody was getting Blackberries, and everything that everyone loved about the Blackberry was exactly why I did not ever want a Blackberry, which is like, no, but you can check your email like wherever you go. And I'm like, that's exactly what I don't want. It's to have people be able to get in touch with me everywhere I am. Yeah. And now, like, they talk about the dopamine hit that you get from like your phone pinging. I have the exact opposite response. Every time my phone makes a noise, I want to throw it into the ocean.
Me too.
That's an ADD thing.
Crazy. Because it's asking you to change gears.
Yes.
That's ADD.
I'm doing something, and then the phone's like, no, me though. And I'm like, but
You could be texting me you won $1 million, and I'm still mad that you texted me. Like, I hate it. Do you rock the do not disturb? That's a huge...
All the time.
Yeah, you got it.
My phone is almost always on do not disturb. And my laptop is on do not disturb 100% of the time.
Yeah.
My wife can sit there and be working on a document, like typing something, like working on something, and just ding, 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 and she doesn't even notice it. And I'm like, oh my God.
Your wife sounds like a real piece of shit.
No, she's like amazing. She can focus. She can focus even through that.
No, she just has a different wiring in that regard.
Yeah, I can't.
And that's good that you found that, because Val, I don't know if she'd do that, but like to find a counterpart, find the balancing energy to your neuroses.
She's definitely that.
Is a good technique.
She's definitely that.
I think it's funny that you met worth talking about, that you met your wife on set. Right?
I did not.
Okay, well, let me tell you how you did it.
Okay.
I thought she was on an episode called...
She was, but we were already dating at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There goes that line.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that people. I actually think it's beautiful that people meet people while they're working because it's like the best version. Like it's like you're juiced. There's a lot of energy.
Yeah,
but I get it both ways.
That is how Rob and Caitlin met.
Yeah.
But no. My wife and I met. We had a mutual friend.
Oh, okay.
Met at a house party.
Real quick. Cute.
Yeah, it was pretty cute.
It's very cute.
It was.
You've been married a long time too.
Yeah, 14 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, we've been together for 16 years. All right, 16. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. I'm also terrible at that. I
We-
love Val more than anything, but she'll be like, we've been married. It's our 7-year anniversary, and I'm like, really? It's
Yeah.
like news to me. I'm
How
like,
long have you guys been together?
It's been 7 years. It'll be 7 years
Since you've
this-
been married, or
this
since you've
month.
been together?
I think we've been together 10 years.
Okay.
And it's been 7 years married, but these are guesses.
Yeah.
And I'll be working. I'll be in Bloomington, Indiana on our anniversary, and there's nothing you could say. That is like the most loving thing to me, is that it's like I'll be telling jokes in a comedy club on my anniversary, and usually am, because if it falls on a weekend, and I love that. I love that she understands that, and it's not an issue. And
Right.
Valentine's Day and even birthdays to a certain extent. Birthdays are a little more special, but it's like I receive that as love. And I also see it as ADD love. It's like, okay, yeah, you booked a weekend on our anniversary. I probably asked her. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
love that she lets me be me. And I don't have to be afraid. Because I've had relationships where you're afraid of the person.
Right.
And that would never fly. I have a line in my act right now. I go, so many of my friends are afraid of their partners. They walk on eggshells. And I go, cut and run. Get out of that situation.
Definitely.
Yeah, right? Because I needed to hear that.
Definitely.
Some people don't know. They're unconsciously reenacting the trauma of their past. And sometimes you need, like our boy Jim, that energy that just goes, you don't need this.
Yeah.
You don't need this. That's why I'm so drawn to it. That's why it's so moving to me when I watch that character and people like that. Sometimes you just need a cold shower. You need someone that goes like, you don't need to be in a garage making modems. And
Right.
you don't need to be afraid of the girl you're dating or the woman you're dating. Cut and run.
Yeah.
And, in my experience, most people, that's not enough. And I think that's what's frustrating to those like truth tellers. You go around and you go like, you don't need that. You deserve this. And they don't do it. And that can be so disheartening to both parties. But I'm a guy that like, if you go, Pete, snap out of it. You don't need to do that.
Well, I do think the step one is feeling like you deserve better, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't think they do.
Right.
I think that's it starts with that, right? If you feel like you deserve to be happy, that you deserve to find someone where, look, all relationships are work, but like I had a buddy who was in the worst, most unhealthy relationship ever, and that was always his thing. He's like, well, relationships are work, and I'd be like.
Right. Not
Yeah,
in a
but
coal mine.
Yeah. They but it shouldn't be like all work all the time, constant stress.
That's a
and
reenactment
horribleness. Totally.
Somewhere in his life, maybe his childhood.
Definitely.
That's what it was. And you go, this is what love is. It's supposed to be painful.
Definitely.
And we form bonds. There's these connections between suffering and love, and pain and love, and sacrifice and love. And at a certain point, I'm so fortunate I met Val. You just go, oh, it can just be kind. It can be respectful.
Right.
It can be gentle. It can be silly. And I say that not to brag. I say that to be like, it can.
Yes.
And like,
I'll vouch for that. I mean,
Right?
my wife and I, we deal with all the highs and lows of a marriage and a relationship and raising kids, just like anyone does. But the majority of the time that we are together, we are happy to be in each other's presence. Like she is definitely my best friend. Yeah. She makes me laugh like nobody else makes me laugh. She brings me comfort and joy. Yeah. And I like to think that I bring her those same things. And then there are times where she drives me nuts and I drive her nuts. Yeah. Usually it's me driving her nuts. She doesn't usually drive me nuts. It's usually me driving her nuts in some way, and she puts up with it. But
I wonder if she even loves it too. You know what I mean?
She does. I mean, she
I don't mean she loves, like she's suffering.
No. She accepts.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Dating an artist is interesting. Val says that too. She goes, Pete's 25 people a day. And she's like, I'm never bored.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, she puts up with a lot when it comes to that. But you know, and I can be volatile. I'm never, you know, I'm rarely ever angry or upset about anything that she does or did, or even my kids. It's usually something else, and I'm venting about it.
Yeah.
And she's able to make space for that, which
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love
And
that. Because you feel safe. It's the same
Yeah.
as a kid that throws a tantrum.
Yeah.
I was just
They
on
do
an
it 'cause they
airplane.
feel safe.
And they go, "That's good. It means she feels safe.
That's
you
right.
did a good job."
Yeah,
that's
that
called
is
a
right.
that's what is it called? It doesn't matter.
I don't know, but you're right. Yeah, that
That's
is
good.
true.
It's a
That-
compliment to the
yes.
parents.
When they have to go to school all day, and they have to be good little boys and girls, and they have to
come home
hold
and
it all
have-
in, and then they come home and they melt the fuck down. And I think a lot of parents are like, "Why are you so nice in the world and such an asshole to me?"
Yeah.
And they're like, and you have to explain it's because that's where because they feel safe with you.
Yeah.
They can't be
It's a
an asshole out
compliment.
in the world.
It's a compliment. Yeah,
It
no,
is.
that's
It's
emotional.
really hard in the moment
Yeah.
to deal with that.
No, we were just at the Santa Barbara Zoo, and Leela was on her back having a full scream for a while. And I have to go like, it's because she knows I'm her homeboy. I got her.
I got you.
It's okay.
Yeah, you
and that's
can
what
do
we
that.
tell her. I know that seems kind of like, whatever it seems to be like, yeah, big feelings, but fuck, man, I would have loved that. I think it's healthy. 'Cause you know why I know it's healthy? Fuck past Pete. We can't reparent him. It's what I do now.
Right.
Big feelings.
It's just that as an adult, you've figured out how to channel it into your comedy, and you've transposed it into something, a net positive for the world, right?
Right.
All your frustrations, all your anger, all your fucking irritations with the world, all your misophonia, and all that shit.
Yeah.
You have figured out how to turn it into something positive for the world,
Right.
to give people joy and laughter, and make other people who feel those same things feel seen and heard.
right.
You know, again, I would also be an absolutely insufferable person had I not found comedy.
Yeah.
Had I not found an outlet for it and a
I
place
know.
to put it,
Yeah.
because I would just be angry and irritable all the time.
Well, you were saying that to me, but that is exactly what I would say to you. And I think you're just recognizing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's why you know that's true. And it's really wonderful. This has been great.
Yeah.
You
I really
feel
enjoyed
good?
this.
Yeah.
I really enjoy having these deeper, longer conversations.
I appreciate you making the time. Yeah, it's not a small ask, and I was very glad that you did it.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
sort of like, I don't know why with you in particular. Maybe it's because your character is so on Sunny. I was like, that guy won't do it. You know what I mean?
I'm very different from a lot of the characters
course.
that I've played. There's a lot of me in them. You know, I think the parts of me that I actually need to exorcise.
Yeah.
That I don't necessarily like and don't want to act on in my real
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
because again, those are the things. That's why I have trouble watching Jim Bosley sometimes, because I find his petulance really hard to watch because I see it in myself.
Of course.
Whereas like other people enjoy watching that, you know, but I have a tough time with it sometimes.
No, it's incredible. And
But when I first saw the movie,
Yeah.
I was like, I had dinner with the director, and I was like, this is the most petulant, unlikable character. I'm like, dude, we got to figure out a way to fix this. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, we've screened it for audiences. Your character's testing through the roof.
Through the roof, yeah.
And I was like, why?
Yeah.
He's insufferable.
Yeah, no, he's not.
And he's like,
He
you're
saves
just
the day.
wrong, dude.
I told Val it's about a guy who saves a bunch of dorks with like dad energy. And there's that line right up top where he says, the director guy says to Jay, you don't have to do what he says. He's not your dad. Yeah. And I was like, that's a very deliberate, yes, he is your dad.
Yeah,
and
he's
we
your-
all crave,
I'm your
when I
business
see
daddy.
Joe Rogan being like, shut the fuck up and eat venison or whatever it is, I see this like cultural craving for an involved dad, even if it's
yeah.
wrong sometimes. I'm not talking about Joe anymore. I'm just talking about like decisive,
Yes.
strong-jawed men or women.
That's why
with
people
that energy.
buy
Go ahead.
myself into trouble here. We can always cut this, but that's why people buy Trump's bullshit,
Yeah, for sure.
because he
Are
makes
you
them
kidding
feel
me?
like he's like I'm in charge.
It's my dad
I
can
know
beat up your
business.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, whereas like I see that and I go, I find it repulsive, and it all feels very, it doesn't feel like actual confidence. It feels like
I know.
the exact opposite. Just narcissism, a complete lack of confidence to the point, like anybody who was to talk about how great they are all the time is clearly not feeling good about themselves.
Totally.
Like
It reminds me of a dad that you have bad seats at the ball game, and he's like, "We're gonna float," and you float down to the good seats. And not only do you steal other people's seats who didn't show up, you throw popcorn at other people, and you're yelling at the players, and you're lying to yourself if there isn't part of you that goes like, "That's a safe dad," like a crazy. I've said that about Trump before. It's like he's and again, I am not a fan of Trump. And that is also, but I identify the appeal as the guy that goes, "We're not going to school today. We're going to Disney World." But then later you find out he's going to Disney World because the cops were chasing him. You know what I mean? Like there's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's the other, there's the dark side of it as well. But you can be like, he's going to throw sand and he's going to kick in the balls, and you get it because it makes you feel
never had
safe.
that person in your life, you could mistake that for the
caring.
right version of it. Whereas there's the right version of that, which is someone whose confidence and decisiveness is just inherent. But there's also kindness and generosity and
Restraint.
Yeah. And not this like bluster, but just like a way of carrying yourself to where that confidence is automatically instilled in you because you are actually those things instead of just talking about being those things.
Right. And I think if you feel like you're in line to get a loaf of bread, like you're in literally a bread line, and it's a really long line, and that's how you feel, you're more drawn to the guy that's like, "Fuck this, it never happened." I don't know why I'm not doing the impression. Like it's just like you're drawn to that. And Joe Biden, I think, and a lot of Democrats seem like the guy that's like, "It's fine, it'll work out." And the implication is because we're not as desperate. It seems, I don't know how the Democratic Party came this way, but it's like, "Don't worry, we have money," or something. "Don't worry, we'll throw some money at it. They'll accept you," and we're eating steak at dinner.
Yeah.
And I think, again, these are all just compassion exercises, but if I'm a farmer and certain things are being relegated and I can't, whatever it is, you go for the guy that's like, "I'll fart in your tuba." You know what I mean? Like whatever it takes. Even if I do think it is an illusion. I think it's all sort of an illusion. I think it's all sort of like pick your mascot.
Well, I let's not go. I
know.
Oh my God.
And by the way, I can't even back up what I'm saying. I'm just going off of I'm not smart enough to have a deep enough political conversation that I feel.
No, neither am I actually. I just find Trump in particular fascinating because he reminds me of our characters on Sunny.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I blame you. I blame Sonny.
Yeah.
It was those boys, Glenn,
Yeah.
Charlie. They made me. You watched, then it became me.
Ooh, I don't even like hearing you do it.
No, Glenn, I'm here to confront you. I am your father. It's just like Return of the Jedi. Remember that movie?
Oh my God.
I cut off your hand, and I take off my mask. I got a big fat head. You made
It
me,
is
Glenn.
like that.
Look at me, Glenn. I'm your dad. It's always sunny in Trump Tower.
Ooh. I think I would react like Luke if I found out that Trump. Yeah. Oh.
But we do have to culturally, back to full circle it, we do have to look, we can't scapegoat and go, "This guy's a blustering, this, blah, 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 blah." We have to go, where is that in me? And let's shine
Totally.
a light on it. And the same with every conflict, every side of every issue. It's very tempting. The ego always wants to go, "You're king of the road and I'm the good driver," when cut to me sailing over 3 lanes because I almost missed my exit.
100%.
Like it was us the whole time. Glenn, it turns out it was us the whole time. Would you say Keep It Crispy is just how we end? This was one of my favorites. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
It's written in Legos behind you, but it's just how we sign off. The guest gets to sign us off by saying "Keep it crispy."
And I say just that.
Yeah,
Well, everybody, keep it crispy.
that was great. Wait, you're on Velma. That's good voiceover. It was clean. That was clean. Very clean.
Nobody ever wants to talk about Velma.
You've made me very proud.
Yeah.
I love you, boy.
You made it weird. You made it weird.